G'day and welcome to On The Esky, a sports podcast where we like to wrap up the week that was in sport, drink a few leak beverages and talk some absolute dribble. Today we have the Steam joining us live, AFL correspondent, South Australian, former Canberran, back in his hometown. Yes, so sweet. We will be wrapping up the weeks that were in footy, NRL, AFL, cricket, the IPL is on, NBA, final day play-in tournament is this week. Let's go. Soccer. EPL, big one tonight, Man City versus Liverpool. We've got NFL news and then a massive final round with the UFC 273 and still champ Volkanovski getting that belt back. Retaining that belt, I should say. F1, speaking of getting it back, F1 returns to Australia first time in 2 years. Coco couldn't spoil the party this time. We've got the Masters tomorrow. Cam Smith, hot on the tail of Scotty Scheffler. Please remember that we do have timestamps. You can skip to the sports that you like, or if you're nuts about all things sport, just listen to the whole damn thing. Think about giving us a subscribe on the YouTube or a follow on the Instagrams. Down the end, we've got Sean rocking his new Redcliffe Dolphins hat, his third team for the year.
Redcliffe Dolphins. Dolphins without a location.
The Dolphins. The Dolphins. The not Miami Dolphins. And rocking his new vintage Essendon Bombers hat, celebrating their first win, 1-3, baby. Monkey Magic on the right.
We're on a run now.
Let's go. We'd like to shout a beer here on the Esky to commend excellent work in the sporting arena that happened through the week. Sean, can you kick us off, please, with your shout a beer?
I can, and I decided to shout out Russell Wilson a beer just because he's living the best life currently. A bit better than Aaron Rodgers currently is. So he showed up to the Nuggets game. He was courtside for that, where Joker, of course, got his big record, and we'll talk about that in the NBA. And then they followed up the next day, throwing out the first pitch for the Rockies. An absolute heater, of course, being in the minor leagues for them. Yes. Well, he was picked originally in the minor leagues. You can just see that he's warmed up the city. He's having a great time, unlike Aaron Rodgers, but hey.
Did they make him scull a beer at the basketball? And hopefully he did a bit better than Rodgers did when he had to do one.
I don't know if he had to scull a beer, but he definitely was signing footballs. So the Nuggets mascot got him to sign a few footballs, and he was throwing them into the stands.
Popular man with the locals, I imagine.
Very much so, very much so. So yes, this man on the end of the table has a very hots for him currently, and going into the rest of the year.
Very hot.
Very hot. Buy him as many beers as he wants.
yes, until September, but yes.
I do hope that he can scull a beer better than Aaron Rodgers, because for those who haven't seen it, type in Aaron Rodgers sculling at the basketball. One of the most pathetic efforts I've ever seen. Which makes me feel good. I'm better at doing something than Aaron Rodgers is. So there you go. David Bakhtiari, on the other hand, he crushes them. And crush. Left tackle, sculling beers. Goes together like peas and carrots, Jenny. Monks on the right. Who was your shout of beer for this week?
This is probably a bit late for them to have the drink, unless they're probably celebrating tonight. But all the Aussie F1 fans out there, so we got our first race back in Melbourne, Albert Park, in 2 years today. Record crowds. It was about 420 odd thousand.
So many people.
So many people across the weekend. That broke the record from the first race, I believe, at Albert Park in Melbourne.
Nice.
Back in 1999. So yeah, great to see the cars back in Australia. We'll probably go in depth a little bit more later on when we talk about the F1 with the results. But yeah, Aussie F1 fans, next drink's on me.
Yeah, sending the Esky broke again by shouting 420,000 beers. Guess what? They're Carlton zeros.
Still not cheap.
No, still not cheap. And Steve, getting a shout of beer, don't always get to do it. Who have you got?
Yeah, I'll just shout the one beer.
Just one, and, a bit more economical.
Yeah, this
for something sports related as well.
Yeah, and this fellow, he's only just old enough to drink them, but I'm going to shout a beer to Devald Brevis, 18-year-old out of South Africa. If that name doesn't ring any bells for you, his nickname is Baby AB, so that's probably going to ring some bells. Cracked into the IPL this week, so that's very impressive. 18 years old, played for Mumbai Indians, took the spot of our highest paid Australian player, Tim David. Just kind of took his spot. To be one of the 4 internationals to get a gig for an IPL team, you're in the 40 best internationals in the world. Started off 29 off 19, so didn't set the world on fire, but he's clearly got some form and talent. He was a man of the tournament, under-19 World Cup, 500 runs in 6 innings. I think he'll be one to watch, and he can have a beer on me.
Very good, D-Volt. One to keep an eye on, I suppose, for the rest of international cricket fans.
What about you, Peppy?
We don't often touch on horse racing. The racing that we follow tends to have motors, but I'll just shout a beer out to Damien Oliver. Rode his 127th Group 1 winner yesterday. That is an Australian record, pretty synonymous with horse racing, the name Damien Oliver. Beers on you, champ. Beers on me for you, champ.
Try and sneak one in there.
Yeah, Ollie, get us a beer.
Get it working the other way around.
Well, they get 10% usually of the winnings, so maybe he can buy me a beer. Anyways, move it into the mop of the week, and guess what? A few weeks in a row, let's go to the NRL again.
Yeah.
Sin bins, it's getting to be a little bit ridiculous, I think. What do we have? We had 22 before this round started. So plus another 3, 4 over this weekend.
Easy. Let's round up and just say it's 30.
Let's go. Matt's obviously our strong suit here on the Esky. Let's just round it up to 30.
We're great with numbers.
Always round up, mate. You always run your runs at cricket. You always round them up. Your shots at golf, you always round them down. You know, it's all sports. It's about rounding. You know. Mm-hmm. What do we think, lads? The one that we're watching here, the Junior Paulo one last night. We've actually talking pre-show, and we've actually seen differently here. I think this is an absolute joke. It's shoulder on shoulder for mine, and Junior Paulo's gotten 10 in the bin. The thing that for me is most concerning is there doesn't seem to be any consistency. That this can be a binning in one game and then not in another, etc.
I got to say that's NRL though. They're consistently inconsistent. So my point on this was, yes, you're right. The initial contact is shoulder to shoulder, but it bounces off and hits him square on the side of the head. So that's what they got a call of the head contact.
What about the initial contact? It's a good shot.
Yeah, it doesn't matter. Bounce off the ball, hit them in the face. They make the same adjudication there occasionally, like we were talking about. But and on the sin bins, we've talked for years about they never use it enough, and now they're using it probably too much. So they find a nice middle ground. Do we go back to what we talked about last year? The 10 minutes. Well, why isn't there not a 5 minute? Maybe that's a 5 minute.
We hit magic round 5 weeks earlier this year, have we?
So I don't know. Magic round was from round 1 essentially this year, wasn't it? They only do things. They don't do things by halves, do they? It's completely one way or completely the other way.
They tinker a lot during the year.
Too much. Like 2 years ago, to get sin bin, you'd have to just about kill someone.
Pretty much.
and these days, you like
it's a tap.
Exactly. And look, this is a pretty big shot. I think me and you disagree on whether or not this should be a sin binning. Shauno, I think Junior Paulo's done all he can there to make contact with the
slow-mo of that. I know it looks really bad.
You can't go off slow-mo. If you look off slow-mo, there'll be a tackle every set that's not a legal tackle.
They teach you below the shoulders. That's what you meant to do, and that hits him in the face.
Do you reckon a little bit was also the fact that the guy was
falling? Yes.
Brimson was like on the ground afterwards, milking it a little bit.
You reckon he was milking it a little bit? I had a look at it.
There's so much, like Paul Vaughan, not Paul Vaughan, it was Ryan James for Brisbane in their game. Like, he had a very light potential crusher tackle, but he's just like straight away stays down, takes the next hit up. Like, it's just gets his penalty.
They know.
So
milking, as soon as you start adjudicating hard, you're opening the milk.
Yes.
Can of milk. Opening the Raiders, if you will.
Not the Canberra milk.
Yeah, the Canberra milk.
They probably need some better
they need some better milking, I think. Look, I think it's too much, and I think that, on individual cases, sure, we can agree to disagree, but I think we can all agree that it's rapidly swung too far the other way, from going from just about no sin binnings to them being multiple in a game. They change the outcomes of games. This sin binning let Gold Coast back into the game a little bit. Parramatta did end up holding on for the win.
The conspiracy as well, and that it's like, this game's getting a bit out of hand. Let's bring it in a little bit closer. Anything, just put him in the bin.
Oh, that's a little tinfoil hatting for me, I reckon.
Well, I think there's definitely tinfoil. There's a bit of concern though, because after the initial 3 weeks, the league was close. We talked about the closer matches. Had a couple of close ones this week, but last week we saw some more blowouts, and My concern is after a month, the teams are now trying to have figured out and they're settled into what the league's going to be this year.
Yep.
And they've, figured it out, and then you're going to have the big 40, big scores, the 30s, and then the other team scores a try, like the big blowouts. What we saw the back end of last year, which really killed off a large portion of the viewership for the games because, you watch it at halftime, it's like, I know he's going to win this, so I'll turn off and go elsewhere.
Yeah. The games have been a bit closer this year.
Yeah.
So
and this week,
definitely.
Looking at those scores, pretty close.
Let's go back over this week. Week 5 in the NRL. Manly starting to look pretty good. 30-6 winners over Newcastle without Tommy Turbo, who did his MCL in the win over the Raiders the week before. Surgical repair. Quite unusual on the MCL, but it is a quick recovery. It's 4 to 6 weeks, so comparatively to an ACL, quite minor. It's a shame because we didn't quite get vintage Turbo in the first few weeks, and then he absolutely turned it on in that game against the Raiders. He was just heating up to go back into that Dally M form. But no Turbo, no worries for Manly. DCE looking very, very good. His kicking game is elite. Manly in some pretty ordinary conditions up there in Newcastle, getting a very strong win. Newcastle will drop 3 on the trot. Are we worried about them? KP's been pretty quiet. The spine's getting a bit how you going?
It needs another realignment.
There's a chiropractor to come fix up that spine.
I think there's too much media beat up and hype around the whole Ponga stuff, so it's probably played into his form, but also probably affected some of the other Newcastle boys if he's chasing money elsewhere. Because the story is that he and his father, who's his manager, asked Wayne to come down and have that meeting because he wants to see what's what. So, and
all rumors are that Newcastle are doing everything in their power to keep him,
but there's nothing official yet, so it's still up in the air.
I think he stays at Newcastle.
Yeah, it's highly probable. But I think what they're after is he wants to be competitive. Like I want to play finals football. I want to win games. So that's why you want to ask Wayne. Wayne's like, if I'm going there, we're going to spend 2 to 3 years trying to build a club, and then are we going to do what Melbourne did and kick it off
straight away,
straight into
the ground running,
be good for 25 years.
So, they've never gotten bad, and it's really annoying.
And I think that's affecting them. And they're a younger side now with losing Pearce and less veteran leadership over there. So, it is what it is.
Lead us into the Warriors-Cowboys game, and we'll talk about another Redcliffe Dolphins target, or the Dolphins, I should say. Stop dead naming the Redcliffe the club. Good game, actually, this one, in terms of the viewership. Big comeback for the Warriors. The Warriors are 3-2, just quietly. A lot of us had them coming sort of 14th, 15th on our pre-season preview. Sean Johnson kicked the golden point to get the win.
They're so different with him in the squad.
Yeah,
let's put it that way.
a lot better with with that veteran leadership and a guy that is a Warrior legend. Lots of chat around Reece Walsh also being targeted by the Dolphins. My personal opinion, I think this one maybe makes even more sense than KP. Probably a little bit stiff, being getting let go by Brisbane last year. Is a young Queenslander. I think that they, might be able to pay a little bit less for him than Kalen Ponga. Yeah. And he hasn't actually moved to New Zealand to play for the Warriors.
Which I think is going to be a big thing for him being so young as well. At the moment, he's not that far away from his... Playing in Redcliffe. Yeah, maybe we'll see him running around a bit there.
No photos of him with Wayne for dinner? Or
no dinners yet. Hasn't been...
maybe they went out for coffee in the morning or something. Sneaked him.
This has been the chat, though. If you don't get Ponga, who you're probably going to pay big money to come across, do you then target Munster, who's... say a little bit out of favour after the little nose candy, because he's going to get about a 500k, like $500,000 a haircut on his new deal because he's on 1.2 this year and he's going to looking at like a 700. But if your Dolphins like, hey, we'll pay you $1 million, come join us, and that leaves
more. I think they'll throw it in.
They can start there, and what they save, they can then get Reece. Like that's you build you spine that way,
you
which
could
is
definitely build a team around Reece Walsh and Cam Munster.
yeah. And I think once they move back to New Zealand, that might cause a bit of homesickness there. So I think it's been good that they're still on Central close enough to home for family for him. But being a super young fella, like it'll be a challenge once they play New Zealand, which is when.
Next year?
No,
not doing this.
No, it's this year. It's coming up. I think they've actually already played one game in New Zealand. So
I don't think they have.
No.
Yeah.
Monkey, you can follow up when the Warriors are going back to New Zealand.
Reintroduce the quarantine.
Yeah.
Didn't they? The
Yeah,
Kiwi,
no, that's
the
it.
Kiwis
They
did.
were going to do it, maybe even this round, and then they reintroduced
because
things.
they just cancelled the whole cricket that they were going to do
that's
over
it, that's
there.
it, that's
yeah.
Jacinda. Yeah.
Best mate of the Esky.
Yeah, that's right. As are all politicians, of course. Election coming up. How cool. Yeah.
If you buy a McGowan jersey, we would.
Not bad. Not bad. Roosters, Broncos. Roosters getting a tough win there up at Suncorp Stadium, 24-20. I don't think so.
They were winning this game, I think,
Yeah.
20-4
Yeah.
at the point, and then they still lost this match. So
The Chooks are a good side.
Yeah, they definitely are. I think Brisbane kind of shut the bed in this one. But.
And given all the media beat up this week as well around the Payne Haas, Albert Kelly stomping on my boots video.
Didn't they both get 2 weeks? And I think, like, from the club, and Haas played in this game, but I don't think he's going to play the next 2 weeks.
Is it a suspended deal, is it?
Oh, yeah, yes.
Well,
Albert
Kelly couldn't play because his legs, his Liz Frank or whatever
he's
it was.
done. So, yeah, but...
Payne Haas would be a big out. He was electric for them. Again, Katoni Staggs, also very good. But that man...
finally stepped up. Staggs has been quiet at the start of the year as well.
Yeah. He had, what was it? 14 tackle busts, if you don't mind, out of Katoni Staggs. Yeah. And 196 run metres, but not quite enough to get the Broncos the win there. Chooks are starting to get their season back on track after a little bit of a mediocre start. Storm beat the Raiders 30-16 in Wagga Wagga yesterday.
Expected.
Yeah, look, I don't think the Raiders were embarrassed. They kind of stuck with them in the second half there. Pretty hard task to go out there and beat Melbourne. I was pretty happy. Won a multi for once. This
This is last leg.
Yeah, last leg. And, it was. What did I have? I gave them 21.5 points, and after Melbourne scored that try with about 5 minutes ago, I thought, oh no, I'm a converted try away from losing this multi, but it came through. The Melanesian Dutch combo I had with Justin Olam, Semi Valemi, and Ryan Pappenhausen. So that was a little multi-win for me. Didn't win anything for my punters club. So, sorry, boys. Storm, yeah, look, they're going to be the Melbourne Storm. They're going to be a top 4 side undoubtedly this year.
It's good having Pat back. He's playing good for
and he's playing with confidence. You could really tell after that lengthy time on the sideline last year, after that horror shot from Terrell Fuimano, it rocked him, and he just didn't. He wasn't quite that old Ryan Pappenhausen on the back end of last year, but yeah, coming off the back of 4 tries a week ago and another good outing, the Pap is back.
Can New South Wales squeeze another number 1 into their back line?
Probably on
he
14.
Was he 18-man last year?
No,
he was in the squad, or 19th. Like he was.
Yeah, he was in the
I
squad.
think for the third game, was he? Because the first 2, he was still coming back from his concussion.
Yeah, we'll go back to this conversation though. How many fullbacks can you play in the back line?
Well, they're currently going
All
to
of
3, and they're going pretty good. And they could probably squeeze in a Pap as a 14, I reckon. Anyways, how good's getting a bit of Origin chat going? Week 5, it's fucking still 2 months away, but Origin chat, it's good. It's a good part of the footy season.
See if Turbo is good to go by then.
Yeah, well, 4 to 6 weeks.
He might get 2 games in before.
Yeah, won't be much.
Origin?
Won't be much. Didn't seem to bother him last year too much either. Also coming off off that hammy. But
Side track.
Origin aside, Raiders. Any concerns? Yes or no? So, look, you hang with Melbourne for a bit.
I think we said last week. They're missing something. I'm just not sure what to put it on. What that axe is.
Well, I thought it was Xavier Savage according to
Did he get a run?
He still hasn't got a run.
Hasn't got a run, and I was seeing a fair bit of comments.
Raiders, tune in to the Esky. Fix your problems.
A fair bit in the Raiders media, socials, the fans really calling for Xavier Savage. But again, it's where do you fit him in?
Yeah.
I don't know. I would think Starling is ready to play 80 minutes as a hooker, and then that frees up somewhere on the bench to play
playing
Savage
for 20 minutes is double.
That doesn't make much sense. I can give you the actual numbers on how many minutes Frawley played.
Did he play in this one? He might not have been their utility. He might have gone with a big popper this week.
Oh, no.
Because it definitely wasn't working.
No, I think you're right. Frawley no bueno.
I think they went with a bit more size, some extra second rollers.
Yep.
Anyway.
Disregard.
Yeah, like I said, they're missing something, and whether it's an X factor like Savage or whether it's they need some more controlling leadership. So, like, it's not Snyder's fault, but he is young as a halfback, and whether they need someone like Fogarty and they're just going to win as many games between now and then until he's back, and hopefully
it's half the season.
But then make a good charge the back end of the year.
In Schneider's defence, I think he's been okay.
I love his size. I love his defence.
Yeah.
But he's not like the game manager that you probably need to go with Jack from a team kind of building perspective.
Who have they got next week? The Raiders, if you wouldn't mind looking that one up. Storm and Sharks next week. That'll be fire.
Yeah, tasty. Good.
Sharks have been very
really show where the Sharks have come. And especially with the old Melbourne Knights now in their in the Sharks team.
Yeah.
So yes. Yeah, it'll be
a bit of insider knowledge.
Yeah, could be. Could be. Raiders next week.
Cowboys.
Then
Panthers the week after.
And they did lose the Cowboys up there as well, so you can't pencil it in just yet.
No.
So they're playing the Cowboys again already.
Yeah, well, the Gold Coast round as well.
Gold Coast Parramatta game is second game as well.
We should have shit out. Yeah, we should get on a mop for this. The schedule is
that's mop worthy.
Yeah. That's another mop.
That is.
Can't even get the draw right.
Round 1 and round 5 for Gold Coast
Already
and Parramatta, and round 2 and round 6 for the Cowboys and the Raiders. Yeah. Go figure.
Yeah, terrible.
That's bad.
I thought also you would have potentially shouted a beer out to the West Tigers, Peps, because if they didn't exist, Dragons would have the spoon. So they're second last.
Not a bad shout there, Sean. Not a bad shout.
I can shout them one next week. Probably not a lot will change between then and now.
Yeah, can't imagine.
Assuming no.
Speaking of my Dragons, I am wearing this cap backwards, but it is a Dragons. No reason for wearing it backwards, actually. Even against a Latrell-less South Sydney for most of the game, Latrell went out pretty early, suffering a hamstring injury. This was actually quite a good game in the first half, even in terms for the neutral viewer. And then it was just like second half, there was so much drop ball from both sides. Damien Cook, electric through the middle, showing off the old beach sprinting skills, running an absolute muck through the middle of the Dragons' defence.
There is some interesting chat though that with the way Harry Grant's playing as well, with the Cheese having sitting out a little bit. That maybe he's coming for that Australian jersey. So I think that's a good fight, Cook and Grant, especially going into Origin to sidetrack the conversation.
But they're such different players. It's interesting how different the 9 can be played. Harry Grant we saw yesterday just bowling over from short distance. You probably can't imagine Damien Cook doing that, but then you probably can't imagine Harry Grant one hand scoop through the middle and being as quick as a fullback and carving you up through the middle. So quite different in the way that they play the 9 jersey. But that's an interesting shout moving forward. And we'd love to see a healthy Harry Grant as well. Get
a full season.
Get a full season. Get some Queensland Origin games in to really contest that Origin, that Australian jersey. Last year there was some chat even that Cook might not have been the New South Wales 9 with Api Coruscant playing so well. But definitely a resurgence I think in Cookie's play this year. Another bloke that's outstanding week in, week out. South's captain Cam Murray, another excellent game from him. And the Dragons are in all sorts. Hook, the last 2 weeks has dropped Tyrell Sloan.
We've got to talk about that because it was basically a reshuffle of the entire spine an hour before the game was meant to kick off. So.
Well, the first one that in the loss against Parramatta, they were waiting on McCulloch to get cleared. Okay, so they named Moses Mbai at 9.
Yep.
And then McCulloch was cleared late, so they got him back in to play hooker, and then moved Mbai to fullback,
Yep.
a position that he hasn't played a whole lot of and was a little bit vulnerable under the high ball. And then dropped Sloan and pushed Amone to the bench and played him like 8 minutes or something, which doesn't.
What was the final score in that game, Peps?
Yeah, not good, not good.
40-point margin.
To Parramatta's credit, they're a pretty handy side.
They've been looking good.
We'll get to them in a sec, but yeah, a lot of confusion, I suppose, amongst the Dragons fans as to what is going through Hook's mind at the moment. It's that double-edged sword. Oh, we can't play these guys because they don't have enough NRL experience. How do you blood guys? At the start of the season, they essentially moved on Matt Duffy because they had that much faith in Tyrell Sloan taking the number 1 jersey, and
a month later
he was going to be the incumbent. He's the incumbent, and was going to wear this jersey. And now they're not showing the faith in him and going, oh, we're going to go a utility guy in and play him at 1, and when you scratch them on the day as well, it's not like they can go get a run in New South Wales Cup and go light up. It just seems like a waste of a week. So, look, you got to try and back him in. He did have success at Brisbane. They were coming 4th when he got the sack at Brisbane, I'm pretty sure.
They're doing good at Penrith as well.
Yeah, exactly. So, maybe you have to try and trust what his thinking is, but. Yeah, from the outside looking in, it's a bit of a head scratcher, that's for sure.
Well, yeah, running second last currently on the table. So
yeah, yep, and a horrible points difference.
Do get Knights next week, so hopefully they can
2 teams that really will be desperate for a win next week. But yeah, your spoon chat, 5 rounds in, not too bad. Thank God for the West Tigers.
Are we worried about Zach Lomax at the moment?
Yeah, he I'm going to say no. No. There has been a bit of chat that he's been underperforming, yada, yada, yada. No, I think he's still a quality centre. Probably just hasn't been playing to potential so far this year. I've been quite impressed with Moses Sully coming across the big bopper. Can just get found out a little bit in defence if someone's a bit faster than him because he's such a big centre. It's like playing an edge back rower out there. But no, I don't think that's the problem. Ben Hunt's been really good. I think just the pack just lacks a little bit, and going with different half combinations week in, week out. It didn't work out too well for Brisbane last year. We saw the halves carousel up at Red Hill, and I think you just got to pick and stick. And then, if you want to swing the axe, you can do it, and then you've got to stick with guys for a bit after that. We'll talk about Canterbury in a sec. They're going down that halves carousel route, and you can't get any consistency, any flow in your footy if it's different spines every week.
Yeah. I think that's enough of talking about the second worst team in the NRL.
Well, when half the table supports them, he's probably going to get a little bit in here. We've been talking a lot about a team that doesn't exist yet. So.
Let's talk about Eels, though. Eels and Titans, 26-20. The Eels getting the win over the Titans. And I thought Eels might have done a little bit more against the Titans, so I think it was good to see them keep this game close.
Yep.
Para pretenders?
Nah.
Or are they the real deal this year?
It's early on now, but I think they just look even that touch better than they did last year.
I think Brown and Moses, I think they've got it. They've tweaked that chemistry, and they just seem to be.
You seen the try assists? Well. Moses is first in the league, I think, with 9 or 10, and then Dylan Brown's got 5 or 6, so they're both top 5 for try assists. Gutho has been elite. You're
not worried about their back line at all. If anything, it's a little bit of a go forward. But hey, Junipolo's there, Reid Mahoney's there as well. So they've got talent in that squad. So,
No, I think they're a real deal.
They just got to put it all together, and maybe they got to get rid of the choking tag. Is probably the next thing. They're like, hey, they've now got the talent. You're playing really well.
Yep,
got to win big games.
Yep.
So
Yep. No, I think Para are the real deal. Again, it's round 5, so don't want to get too ahead of ourselves. We were talking, and we'll get to the EPL a little bit later in the show about Man City. Give them the trophy now. They've won the league. Yada yada yada. They're long seasons. They are long seasons. A lot can change, but as it stands, Parramatta are looking very deadly.
Titans on the LA end still mid-pack.
It's the same story every week. That's their defence. They need to fix up their defence. That they haven't been bad. I don't think the Gold Coast Titans. They keep losing close games as well. That Raiders one a couple of weeks ago was very close, and a big fight back last night actually against Parramatta, but just couldn't quite come away with the biggies.
Middle of the pack team.
I think they're a young team that just hasn't found the right kind of combination to win games. Like they can score points, they just can't put games away, whether that's veteran in the halves or not.
Oh yeah, Brimson moving to 6 this year. You're not going to be able to play lights out, straight away and playing
and
in
losing
a new.
Fogarty as their veteran halfback.
Exactly, yeah.
And there are two other games. The Sharks dicked the Titans as expected, 30 to 4.
Tigers.
Tigers. Do you see the Tigers winning a game this year
Yes.
against the Dragons?
Well, they beat the Dragons twice last year, actually. Funny you mentioned that.
I don't see them beating a lot of squads.
Wait till Origin rolls around.
Yeah,
they get a weakened,
They
get a weakened opponent.
It's rugby league. That might be an interesting one to chase up. Has any team ever gone a whole year without winning a game in the rugby league? I reckon you'd have to go.
Maybe.
It would be pre NRL era for sure.
To Cowboys?
Nah.
When they first joined?
Nah.
They went bad, but I think they won at least one game.
I'll put my
To not get one is...
I'll bet that.
And a long season like NRL is,
I'll bet my left nut that in the NRL era that no team has gone the whole year without winning a game. But there might be one from back in the day, a glebe or university or something like that back in the day.
So in the other game, Penrith are leading 14-0 after 30 minutes.
Okay.
Against the Doggies.
Yeah, we'll keep an eye on that one as it unfolds.
Did you find a quick answer? Or are you still going, James?
Still going. We can bullshit for a little bit. Bullshit. Is it university? This is there's one from 1921, which is an 8-game season. East.
1966.
The Roosters. The Roosters in 1966. That's the most recent. So my left nut stays. That's good.
0-18.
That's good. So definitely nothing in recent memory, but actually quite a few. So South in 1946, 0-14. Also, that would have been a year post-war. Yes. So who knows, what kind of implications that had. And then the other ones are defunct teams in University and Annandale between 1918 and 1937. There was 5 winless seasons. But it hasn't happened since 1966.
60 years.
Yeah.
Even on that 1966, that East teams was on a 29-game winless streak that carried over from the season before
From
as
65.
well.
Jeez.
Ouch.
That would have been a good time to be a Dragons fan because the Dragons were fire and the Chooks were garbage. History likes to repeat itself, doesn't it? Yeah, wouldn't mind that happening one day soon. There you go. Chooks and Souths are the only current teams that have had winless years. But yes, going back to your original question, I think the Tigers will win a game, maybe even 2 or 3.
You'd hope so.
I just hope that they get that spoon and not
Not the Dragons.
Not the Dragons.
That's it.
Moving in the AFL?
Yeah, and a pleasure, obviously, to have our AFL expert, South Australian correspondent, Steam, at the table today.
Well, starting off on Thursday night, I was actually at this game.
Yeah, yep.
So I took the missus for a first live AFL game, thinking Demons, Power, 2 top 4 teams from last year, be an absolute cracker. And then first time in history, Port Adelaide haven't kicked a goal and a half. So, that was...
Is that AFL era or is that...
Well, that's Port Adelaide Power.
Port Adelaide Power.
Yeah, so...
Doesn't include Sandford.
No, yeah. So, but they just look like totally devoid of confidence.
Yeah.
They were getting plenty of the ball, but they just would not move it forward, not move it with speed, go sideways. And, credit where credit's due. They're against Melbourne, who've got... elite defence, probably every time they're looking up to go down the line. Stephen May's there, Jake Lever's there. They don't have their big full forward in Charlie Dixon, who I think they're just really struggling. They're like, well, if Dixon's not down here, who am I kicking it to? Oh, well, I'll just kick it sideways and then the other guy will kick it back to me and we'll be fantasy superstars. But, they look in all sorts and it's quite a fall from grace from being, prelim finalists, last 2 years now, 0-4. So, and Demons, they didn't look like losing anytime soon.
No.
Big Max and Luke Jackson were dominant as the talls and really worked Scott Lysett over. So much so, like Petrarca and Oliver didn't have an impact on this game, and they won it comfortably. So they look very easily the best team in the league.
Can I flip my question? Do you think they'll go undefeated?
You love these
No, because I think
long season.
They seem so far ahead of everyone currently.
It's
But-
footy. It's round 4.
Yeah.
and I
That's
think
what I'd say.
I can see them being far enough ahead towards the back end of the year that they start sitting guys.
Definitely.
Give Max a rest, that kind of thing. So,
But if they're 14-0 by that point, do you think they're like, ooh, but could we chase it?
But I mean,
would you chase
they
it?
slipped up against the Magpies and the Crows,
true.
the kind of lower teams last year. So
they beat all the good teams.
Yeah.
And had a few drop games against the,
well,
the
people
lower,
had-
lower teams.
Carlton winning the premiership, and we'll get around to them soon.
That'll be fun to talk about.
That's hit home hard. But
Ollie Wines went down. Do we know much about?
that was
his injury.
had at the ground. They announced nausea and dizziness. He then ended up in hospital with heart palpitations, and they're monitoring his heart. So I think he spent the night in hospital, and then apparently he was in good spirits, but released out of hospital now. But so I guess I'll be keeping an eye on what that was. But just something that kind of came out of nowhere a bit, and not feeling the best, and take the proper kind of precautions.
Yep.
Especially with what we've seen recently with similar symptoms. Like,
So
definitely take precautions.
yeah, but good news that he's in good spirits and he's out of hospital now.
Yep. Your Brownlow medalist going down with stuff to do with the ticker. Definitely thinking of Ollie and his recovery there. Port, that's dire straits, isn't it? 0-4. We're talking about how hard it's been for Carlton. There's two Carlton fans here to try and break into the 8 when you start every year 0-2.
Long way back.
Long way back now. And you don't want to say it's impossible, but
Only team without a win now. So,
who would have thought? Who would have thought?
Not me.
Nah, going into this season.
I won't ask the question about them because I think their list is a lot better than the Tigers' roster is. So I think they'll be able to win a game this year. Potentially this week coming.
Probably a good chance.
After this
Who
week.
knows?
Friday night, we saw another close encounter between the Geelong Cats and Brisbane Lions. The Cats getting the Bickies by 10 points. This is kind of developing into a bit of a fierce rivalry. We saw last year those heated games with Chris Scott mouthing off at the Brisbane players and vice versa. We've seen them play each other a few times post-season.
And there was the no call for the holding the ball.
That's right.
Zach Bailey, Mark Blixarves at the end of the game.
Yep.
Yeah. Well, did you see this one? The Hawkins got the big push in the back to get the goal to take the lead.
The Cats were 9 points up at the time.
I thought they were only 2 ahead, and he scored that goal, which then took them ahead, and then
Further
they skipped it
extended
another
the
line. It put them clear enough that maybe it put the dagger in the heart that for Lions fan it's like, it's happened again. We can't win in fucking Geelong. Let's get on the plane and go home.
Yeah, it's very hard to win at GMHBA. They play that ground so well. The unique dimensions.
Crowd gets so into it as well.
Like as a Lions fan, I wouldn't be too concerned about this. I think if this game's at MCG or at Gabba, I think that swings things in Lions' favour. You've got to factor that in. The Cats in Geelong, it gives them another 2-3 goals that they probably don't have anywhere else. Like they've just got such a good record there.
Don't they?
Yeah, definitely.
Big Tomahawk booted 5.
Yeah, the Batman and Robin Cameron got him last week, and now Tomahawk popped up this week. So if one doesn't get you,
Tomahawk's Batman in that situation. No offense, Jez Cameron, but he's just a big beefier,
It'd be a funny Robin though.
He would be a good Robin. He's a big man. I pestered him once at the Caulfield Cup actually to go get a photo with him. He's a big human being. I wouldn't be too concerned about losing in Geelong. Second on the table, 3-1.
Motoring along all right.
Yeah, exactly right. Swans and Kangaroos. The Swans, this game was a lot closer than most people expected at the SCG. Went down to the wire and made for some fascinating viewing for the neutral viewer.
Yeah, Roos were ahead at three-quarter time and for a large part of the last quarter, and then Isaac Heaney with a couple of late goals. But very surprising there. I think good bounce back by North Melbourne. Obviously got humiliated last week by over 100 points, so bit of character shown to kind of... Horn Francis looked really good, I think...
He had 23 posies,
and
5 tackles.
Yeah, Jack Zeeble, who's been down back for the last
Went
few
forward,
years.
3-man.
Yeah, and kicked 5. So maybe he'll find himself down forward more often.
Mate, nothing better than a good swinger, that's for sure. In footy and cricket.
And you and Buddy done something similar this week.
Yeah, kicked 1,000 goals.
Stormed the field.
No, I haven't had 1,000 kicks in my AFL career. AFL.
Local footy.
Australian football, at a local level in Canberra. No dislocated fingers. That's why I've got my nub on here. So wishing the Budwa a speedy recovery.
I think they're a bit worried there might be a bit more than just dislocated though. It might be a fracture.
Well, I can run you through what happened. So essentially, my finger was looking a lot like Brian Fletcher's off Matty John's fame, and also played a pretty good career himself for East and South in the rugby league. My fourth finger on my right hand was at about 45 degrees after...
Maybe that's one for socials.
Maybe actually. After a contest yesterday, they couldn't relocate it, and then just went for a quick relocation and X-ray at the hospital. Essentially, if there's no break, they'll just splint it. If there's a small break, it's exactly the same management. If it's a real nasty break, or something that's piercing the skin or really compromise the tendons, then surgery is usually required. So I imagine Buddy might be getting some kind of soft tissue scan as well as an X-ray.
This might, they probably weren't going to play him every game this season. So maybe it's just good timing that, all right.
You've got 1,000.
Let's
sit you down for a
bud,
month.
you were probably, coming up due for your rest. Let's just, let's sit you one here, get your finger right, and then...
They play West Coast and Hawthorn the next 2 games. We've got Andrew Gaze trying to do a gritty on national TV. That is good viewing. It's bad dancing, but it's great viewing.
Oh, jeez.
So maybe he sits against Eagles and he might want to play against his old squad in the Hawks.
Yeah,
Who
true
knows?
that.
But,
True.
So moving on through
nice
the round.
comparison. Me and Budwa, I'll take that.
Yeah, just somebody. It looks like he has broken his finger and possibly miss a month.
A month.
Yeah.
Right.
Do we know which finger it is?
Finger on his left hand. Holds up. Don't know.
I imagine he's left-handed. He's left-footed.
You drop the
Drops the
ball with your
left
left hand when you kick with your left leg. So
I'd say it'd be one of the 3 middle ones. Like, it'd be more the important fingers than I'd say your pinky.
Yeah.
Because they'd probably just buddy tape that and say, out you go.
Buddy tape it. Nice. Dr. Sean here strikes again. Managed my finger quite well from the text messages yesterday. Thank you. Your invoice is in the mail. Eagles Pies. This was... did anyone tip the Eagles? Anyone tip the Eagles? No.
Away from home.
Bit of an upset, often struggle when they board the plane to fly over to the East Coast, and they come out winners against the Pies. This was an interesting little tidbit. No player for the Eagles has played 6 consecutive games going back to last year. The COVID week probably had a bit to do with that. It was half the squad.
They've had a few weeks where they've chopped and changed a lot. This was a huge win for the Eagles. Their first choice midfield, their best 5 mids of Shuey as their captain, Yo, Gaff, Kelly, Redden. Redden was the only one playing.
Yeah.
The other 4 weren't. So really kind of baby Eagles in the mids. They were just super efficient. Josh Kennedy had 5 kicks for 3 goals. Magpies had heaps of the ball. The Dacos brothers really enjoying playing with one another. Had 60 touches between them, I think.
Unreal, eh?
Yeah, Nick was already looking like a superstar, and they looked to get the ball into his hands at every opportunity. For a 4th game player, they already trust his decision making and his skill and execution. So, but the Eagles were just so much more efficient when they went into 50. They were getting scores where Magpies dominated every category. And this game,
a few games this weekend.
I mean, this game was well and truly in the balance, all the way through, and a couple of late goals from the Eagles was what sealed it. But they'll be very happy with this, a very gritty, hearty win, considering the start to the season they've had in managing the ins and outs and everyone who was out for this match. So
that's how you build character, that grit in the face of adversity. So, the Eagles will be flying high, if you will, after that one. Nick Dacos, just quietly, top fantasy player in that game out of an 18-year-old. 32 possessions, 7 marks, 5 tackles for 126 fantasy points. 18-year-old, fourth game player.
Lock him in for Rising Star.
Yeah, and lock him in for 250 games for the Pie. Hopefully, no injury, no setbacks. He's going to be a genuine superstar of this league.
He looks like Scott Pendlebury, but 15 years younger.
As an 18-year-old, unbelievable. It blows my mind when blokes are 18 years old and they're putting up those kind of numbers. It's like, not to shit on Jamara, but to use Jamara as the contrast, and different position. Hard for a key forward as well to hit the ground running. It is different to being a smaller bodied midfielder, but that's kind of the trajectory that you'd expect. Having to ease into it, going back and forth through the VFL and into the first grade side. And having some teething, whereas Nick Dacos is just looking like a superstar from the get-go.
Yeah, just put him on the half-back flank. So don't worry about your forward too much. Just go rack up 30 touches and we'll look for you at every chance to give it off to you kind of thing. So, yes, very impressive start to his career.
Tigers, Dogs, big matchup out of two superstar teams over the last sort of 5 years, although this year both may be having a little bit of a downward trend. Tigers coming away 38-point winners, 99-61. The Bulldogs kicked 7 goals, 19 in this, and got a lot of the footy out of the middle, just could not convert. Did you catch much of this last night?
No, I was watching the other game, the Dockers and Giants, but from what you can see in the stats, Doggies like that high possession game, lots of handball, but what was it? 7-8?
7-19.
Yeah, that's not going to win you any games.
No.
That kind of thing.
No.
I think a good thing come out of this game, I've seen 3/4 time, I reckon it was, Jack Rewalt has a shot for goal after the siren. It's like 55-60 out.
Yep.
And the umpire is kind of lining up saying, it's after the siren, so you can't play on. This is your mark if you run round. So you can start and then come over it. And he goes, I'll just torp it. Umpire goes, okay, good luck. And bang, torps it, nails it. And you're like...
He's kicked 700 AFL goals for a reason.
And that was to equal his cousin, Nick, for career goals. So...
a little bit of banter at the next Rewalt family.
Yeah, well, I think not Nick might have been on commentary or something like that as well. So, a bit of banter there. But yeah, Tigers, they're a bit up and down. Like, the previous week kind of got run over. The last quarter, Max King and the Saints, and then this week really bounced back. I think that Jack was in for this game as well as the human meatball, Dion Prestia.
Yep,
and Dogs 1-3.
Yeah,
that's a big headline. Like they've faced Tigers, faced
the Blue Flaggers,
Swans, and
we say less convincingly after today's events,
and Demons. So I mean, they haven't had an easy run of it, but they would have wanted to be better than 1-3.
Well, Dogs fans, you have this mighty lineup to look forward to: North, Adelaide, Essendon, Port Power.
So maybe they right the ship in the next month.
I'd say so, yeah. You'd imagine they win 2 or 3 of those at least. Dockers Giants.
I was just going to ask Dusty News, how far away do you think he is?
Who knows, man?
It's kind of gone all quiet.
Yeah.
No news, really.
Everyone's just like, yep, you need your time. Away you go, and heard nothing since.
Yep. No, I've got no idea. The the mind, it's like any kind of other kind of physical part of your body. It can experience illness, and it takes time to heal. And Dusty, I don't know. I don't even really want to speculate that much, to be honest. Yeah.
But I imagine this game, Tigers win. I reckon Dimmer just leaves his phone alone after the match.
Yep.
Doggies win this game. Dimmer might. Hey Dusty,
how
you feeling, buddy? You doing all right? But yes.
I don't know.
Yeah, if they keep winning, though, it won't be as much an issue. It's more if they're like, hey, we need our LeBron back to help carry us into the finals.
Yeah. No, to be honest, even if they're losing, I think he's done so much for that club already, and that
he's got nothing left to prove.
Yeah, we were talking about Ash Barty a few weeks ago, and it's apples and oranges, but nothing else to prove. You've got, he's already won 3 GFs. He's lost his old man. He's best mates with a lot of blokes on that football team, and I think that those players, his mental health will be the priority over winning footy games. I don't know. Can't speculate. Obviously, want to see him back on a field, but when he's ready to do it.
So I guess going back to Dockers Giants, and you said you watched it.
Yeah. So the final margin probably doesn't give it accurate one. Like the Dockers kicked away towards the end, but again at 3/4 time, this was a close one. Dockers home crowd advantage.
Isn't it?
In the noise of affirmation, the free kick count was 43-10 or something like that. It was Razor Ray was very whistle happy.
Was he?
They had a big part to play, and probably too big a part. That's too many free kicks. Let the boys play.
Let the boys play, Ray.
So,
he's Cam Barron?
Is he? Yeah. No, I didn't know that. So,
Razor Ray.
But I think Dockers. I've had a few weeks over in the West now. They had the away derby. And I think they're liking being at home. They're 3-1, which probably didn't see that.
No.
But a few of their younger kids are looking pretty good. At Brody, they brought across from West Coast. He's been a very handy addition to the midfield. Fife is out. They got
that was going to be my question. They're winning games without Fife. So when's he due back?
It's not for a month or so. It's quite a while, but. Yeah, they got Mundy back from COVID protocols and Sean Darcy back last night, and they both had big roles to play.
What about Andrew Brayshaw? Has been on an absolute heater.
Dockers
through four weeks.
Kind of Lockie Ash. He did the job the previous week on Tuke Miller, and he got sent to Brayshaw. So he didn't have the game that he had 2 weeks ago where he got 180 fantasy points or whatever he got. But he's he was a number 2 overall pick, and there's a reason for that. They were very good. There was 3 brothers, Brayshaw brothers, that all played AFL, so they're all good stock.
Through 4 weeks, leads AFL Fantasy ahead of Travis Boak and Ben Keys, Andrew Brayshaw. Yeah. What about the Giants moving forward? Haven't had the best start to the year, but also not the worst. They're 1-3.
We weren't expecting much from them.
I was expecting them to be there or thereabouts for pushing for the 8.
In that 8 to 12.
Exactly.
Midfield, they've still got great stocks in the midfield. Tom Green is looking very, very good.
Canberra boy.
But it's up forward. There was a period where Himmelberg and Hogan, for about a quarter and a half, from half time to about midway through the last quarter, where they didn't have a kick between them.
Yeah, okay.
And so you're missing Toby up forward. Relying on guys like Taranto and Green to get goals. It's the mids are doing the job, but it's the forwards that.
Yeah, 2 goals from 3 kicks for Harrison Himmelberg. Played 90% of the game.
Yeah, 3 kicks.
3 kicks. Yeah, interesting. Yeah, definitely need Toby Green back. Any news on Nat Fife there, Muggs?
The latest I could find isn't looking great. He himself reckons he'd be lucky to play 1 game sometime this season.
Wow.
Sometime this season?
Yeah.
Really? Doesn't sound confident from the man.
No. So timeline on the injury is about round 8. But it looks like he's had some setback in his recovery.
Because he had a disc,
Everything.
they took a disc out, I think, out of his lumbar spine, out
Yeah,
of his
wow.
lower back, which is pretty major surgery to come back from. But I didn't realise it was that dire.
That's his words. So I suppose that's his time
Well,
frame.
he's also in his rehab trying to get back in that, and he's probably not real happy with how that's all going, because it is seeing the boys play well and he's not out there. He's probably a bit not happy with the situation.
Yeah.
So.
So
Despondent.
Maybe just want to create a headline or something. Yeah.
maybe.
Yeah.
So
He's probably not feeling-
everyone jump
he's
all
not,
over.
He's not like, I'm going to be the next week. He's just like, well, I'm still working on it. And my
His
back doesn't
body's
feel
been through a
great.
lot in his
That's it,
career.
yeah.
Well, he's been carrying that team
There
for
we go.
ages. Pull the spine out.
It did come through my mind. I was like, that's a layup, man. That's a
That's the
layup.
biggest layup.
Sometimes you got to take the
Take the
layups.
layups, take the layups.
So, easy points.
Exactly.
Wait until Cam Smith is
Fundamentals.
playing
Fundamentals.
Masters again. So
Yeah, that's right. We can get to that in a second. Let's go, you beautiful mulleted man. Today's games: Bombers, Crows. Bombers opening the account for the year.
Happy with that.
Just got home. I didn't see any of this.
This was a cracker. Like it was 103 to 99. So
another
close game, plenty of goals. The Bombers, in saying that they got their first win, I think their first 3 games were against Geelong, Melbourne, and Brisbane.
Yep.
They're all contenders. So good to get on the board, get that victory against the Crows.
But don't read too far into the 1 and 3.
I think don't. It wasn't panic stations, but this was a cracking game of footy again. Some of these, like the parity in the league is good to see. Like we talked about, the Roos, really kind of gave a good showing of themselves. The Friday night game was close all the way. Dockers and Giants was close up until the last 5 minutes. So it's good to see.
Bit of parity.
Getting into at 3/4 time, both teams are red hot crack to win the match. It's good as a fan. You know you can go to the game and your team's a decent chance to get a victory. So
good for the neutrals as well. In games.
So that's it. So even though Bombers were down the bottom, they're not that far behind. So
Tex Walker made his return
got booed
after the suspension.
Yeah,
got booed.
did get booed.
Yeah, fair enough too, probably given the circumstances. He thrived though. Booted 4. We were talking about Tex last year as possibly an All-Australian. In the kind of
the
form,
vintage continues
in the form that he had been building. Apparently, he was training the house down. I always hear that through pre-season, but seems like it's the case. What do you think for Tex moving forward, trying to put last year behind him? He's obviously going to cop some boos around the grounds this year, and probably deserved. He probably just will continue to show this late career resurgence, I guess.
Yeah, I think that's all he can really do. Just play good footy, keep his head down, and
there's plenty of other stuff stealing headlines at the moment. So it'll probably go to the wayside very, very quickly, and people will move on.
And look, we're all human. Not condoning what was said, but you got to move on and try to make amends. And I think, this is probably the start.
Can't undo what he's done.
Exactly.
So got to move forward.
Yeah, there's plenty of dickhead moments in this world. There's 4 of them right here. So I'm
glad you said 4 and not just pass it on to us 3.
I did it. I did you.
No.
The Hawks got dicked by the Saints.
Yes.
Yeah.
Saints are looking like an engine team at the moment. They're really running over teams in the second half.
Well, they were in that group. We thought they might be playing into the 8, and they've definitely kind of putting themselves ahead of that pack. But
I still don't know what to make of them.
That is always going to be the question.
Because
they're very
they
up
are
and
playing
down
against those other mid-tier teams. So to contrast them with the Bombers, they haven't played anyone who's really elite yet. I mean, do you count the Tigers or not?
This year, probably not. No.
Yeah. So I don't know how to kind of where to rank the Saints at the moment, but I certainly didn't see this one today. I tipped the Hawks actually because I thought they were very impressive against Port Adelaide 2 weeks ago. After giving Carlton a huge lead and kind of nearly reeled them in last week. So I thought they were playing really good footy, the Hawks, but so I didn't catch much of this one, but didn't look like much of a contest. I think from about half time,
12 goals.
Saints were handy leaders.
So St Kilda sit fourth. They're 3-1. They had that opening day loss to Collingwood and then have since beaten Fremantle in Fremantle, Richmond last week, and obviously the big shellacking of Hawthorn. So, yeah, no elite sides just yet, but they've started 3-1. The morale will be high.
Well, I think Max
against St Kilda away.
King kicked another 4 today.
I think they had 4 guys kick 4. So Gresham, Hill, King, Membry, 16 goals between those 4 right there. To contrast to the Bulldogs, they're obviously making the use of their forward entry.
Which is unusual for St Kilda because they've been
often
like the most inaccurate team the last couple of years. So Saints fans will be happy to see them going through the big ones for a change.
22-10 they kicked.
Yeah, that's
pretty handy.
10-22, that would have been a different story, wouldn't it?
Yeah. Still would have won actually, but it would have been a different story.
Nail biter. Yeah. Would have been nail biter.
And their run for the next couple of weeks is pretty good as well. So they've got the Suns next week. Then they've got Giants.
No easy feat with family today.
And then Port.
The Port, and then Melbourne.
So maybe a month before we really know
what to make
where
of
they're
St Kilda.
at.
Yeah. It wouldn't be unfeasible to think that St Kilda go 5-2, 6-1.
All you can do is beat who's in front of you.
Exactly right.
That's
right. That's all you can do.
And that's if you're in that kind of middle of the ladder category that we thought they were, you've got to beat those other teams that are in the middle of the
cement yourselves.
Yeah, that's right. That's how you kind of push yourself up into the 8 and so 3-1, they'll be happy with that.
Yeah. No, that's it.
And the last game, the game that we have to talk about, the big one, where we probably skipped over this too much and took it too lightly, as the Blues did today, and that is Carlton losing to the Gold Coast Suns.
We're just talking about St Kilda, and fans should be happy that they're 3-1. This is one of those cases where you'd put them down as 4-0 already, and we're starting to think about Port next week. Like you were saying pre-show, a very Carlton thing to do to get some hopes up and then drop them.
I had a sick feeling before this game.
Thinking too much about Port Adelaide. We're going to go in there. We're going to be 5-0.
See, hope's a very bad thing. The last 10 years, you can't have it taken away if you don't have it in the first place. But if you have it and then it gets taken away, it just hurts. But I think, so quarter time, Blues lost Paddy Cripps. Obviously, that
has been playing lights out. It has been looking like old Patrick Cripps.
Probably had 7 or 8 Brownlow votes up until this point. Pre-match, lost Mark Pitnet as well, the ruckman. I think still got Tom De Koning as a kind of genuine ruck, but I think he's kind of same as Tim English, but a few years younger. So big, tall fella, still to kind of really bulk out into that big AFL-sized ruckman, and going against one of the bulkier ruckmen in Jared Witts. Witts really dominated, and Carlton have been so good in clearances and contested footy, but Witts was given his midfielders first use, and they were really dominating. And maybe Carlton just didn't have their heads screwed on, thought they were going to win the game before they...
I was going to say, I've heard lots of excuses, but we probably should give Suns a bit of props. From what we saw, they had a lot of run in them.
Witts,
they had a lot
Witts was dominating.
42 hitouts to 15, Witts versus De Koning there. Interesting as well, the forwards stepping up. A few rejects in Marbio Chol and Levi Casbolt going up against his old team. Marbio kicked 3. What did Casbolt kick? Just the one.
He enjoyed it though.
He did enjoy
thoroughly
it.
enjoyed it.
And he nearly missed it in true Casbolt fashion. Nearly missed one from straight in front, and was grasping his Gold Coast Suns jersey and showed a lot of emotion against the team that delisted him last year. But again, probably like you said, Sean, maybe not giving enough credit to the Gold Coast and their midfield. Noah Anderson had himself a day. Took Miller's always very, very good.
So you're now worried that next week that the Port Adelaide's going to right the ship against the Blues?
Is it in Adelaide?
It's in Melbourne.
It's in Melbourne. Yeah. No, I think the way Port's been playing...
I think it was interesting because they didn't...
Be careful what you say here.
I was going to say it'll be a close game.
I'm interested to see what happens with Cripps, because being subbed out, but at no point in the coverage do they show, that's the moment that, ping, the hammy's gone. He kind of jogged into the change rooms
Well,
And
he
he-
might have thought, a little bit of tightness. Let's
and
get
so-
a rub down.
So
quickly
whether it
and
was
I'll
just
come back out,
whether
and
it's
then-
just
but it's
very
like,
very
it just tightened
kind of
up heaps.
precaution, or whether it's actually gone, it's hard to know. I'll be interested to see.
Has he done hammies in the past?
He's had shoulder issues,
mostly shoulder. My personal thought is if you're not finishing a game because of a hamstring, and I hate to be a negative Nancy, I think Cripps will miss 3 to 4 weeks. That would be my thinking.
Yeah.
Hopefully, for Carlton fans, for Cripps fantasy owners, especially captains in draft leagues,
Might have still got
Cripps is
one.
back.
Might have got 1 out of 2, but the second one.
Yeah, massive loss when your in form captain goes out in the first quarter. But again, credit where
But again,
credit's
this
due.
is
Well done to
the
the
parody of the AFL, isn't it? That the Suns can roll out, and therefore supporters can rock up to the match and know that they'll get a competitive unit put in front of them, and they can go home chance of being winners. So
There hasn't been
they're at 2 and 2. So
There hasn't been many pastings this year, has there? Really,
Yeah.
St Kilda 69 points winners over
Lions-
Hawthorn.
Lions
Lions, a
and Roos
massive
last
one
week.
over
Yeah.
the Roos.
They're the big ones that I remember.
That's about it.
lots of games, going down the wire, which is good, exciting footy. So.
Yep.
Yep.
Hawthorn 64-point winners over the Power. There's been 3 games in 4 rounds that have been over 60 points. That'll do us.
Enough
footy.
footy. Does that mean cricket?
Let's get some cricket. We've got a few people in the comment
them.
section
They're
waiting
keen
for
Keen
hopefully
for it, looking.
hopefully growing the game of AFL into the subcontinent. Should we start? Do you want to start with the IPL?
Yeah, might as well.
Let's start with the IPL.
It's the big one. The other stuff kind of is finished during the week. So, yeah, the IPL's the big tournament that's going on at the moment.
Well, we're Aussie fans. We have to talk about Pat Cummins first.
Yes.
So, fastest 50 ever tied
Tied.
for the IPL with a 14-ball 50 to get the Knight Riders home. What can't he do, essentially?
He got pasted himself, so
Yeah.
he kind
Yeah.
of owed him one.
He took 2 wickets, but it was for 40,
49, I think.
8:49,
Yeah.
something like that.
Yeah.
In the Knight Riders win there. He was getting hold of Daniel Sam, so probably seen
Aussie on Aussie.
a bit of Aussie on Aussie action. He'd seen a bit of him in the nets and goes, "Oh, I know your slower ball here, Samsy. I know this, I know
Yeah.
that," and went bang, bang, bang to get the Knight Riders home. Whose record did he tie? Was it KL Rahul?
I think so.
Yeah,
Yeah.
for 14 balls. You guys know the T20 International? Oh, is it T20? It might have been in a one-dayer. Do you guys know the fastest 50 ever is what I'm trying to say? It's quicker than 14 balls.
Is it from
Australian?
Is it from
It's a
Don't
Gilchrist?
Don't Blush, baby?
That's a great guess. That is a great guess. And I think he may have one that is extremely fire. Yuvraj Singh got one, 12
okay.
balls, and I think he hit 6 sixes in an over. In that,
Yeah,
in
right,
That knock.
yep.
Yeah.
that helps.
You kind of need to if you only face at 12 to get to 50.
Bloody oath.
Yep.
Someone get at us in the comments, unless Monkey can beat you on the other side of that screen, who that was against. I think that was in international cricket, Yuvraj Singh. Maybe in a World Cup. Yeah. And if you just wouldn't mind scrolling that one down, because that's week 1.
Yep.
We've already covered it. Keep going.
was Jake's
Yeah, keep going. Yeah.
It's April, bro.
Bang, there. Yep, that's the week just about. So let's talk about the ladder. CSK and Mumbai 0-4, both teams. Did anyone see this coming?
No.
No, CSK defending champs.
Defending champs.
I mean, obviously they've shaken up the teams a bit with the inclusion of the 2 new squads, but
Sure. Yeah.
How many titles between those 2 at the bottom?
That's
A lot.
Mumbai.
It might be
Mumbai
6, maybe.
Mumbai got 5
Five
on
by
their own.
themselves.
I think CSK probably got 4. So, like,
I'll chase that up.
yeah, like,
A lot.
Yeah.
no, I probably saw Sunrisers being down the bottom.
Well, we all thought they were doing the tank, essentially. But they...
No, that was a nasty headline to get clicks on YouTube, which is disgusting and abhorrent behaviour, Sean. That's what separates us from the mainstream media. Is getting nice, unwavering, unbiased.
Well,
opinion.
we thought their roster was light on big talent and a lot of solid players, so we didn't think they'd potentially had been be as competitive as the others, but they have at least won one match.
Yeah.
And they're taking themselves ahead of Mumbai and CSK. So did you get an answer? How many have they won?
So between the two of them, 9.
Out of how many?
This is the 15th, so 9 out of 14.
Over half.
Yeah, 9 out of 14. Yep. So
And on the bottom of the ladder.
two big shows in the IPL, both after 0-4 starts. Again, long season. Don't want to get ahead of ourselves. Yada 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 yada. But pretty hard to make the finals when you start 0-4.
Yeah,
Yeah.
our
4
Delhi
game
Capitals
head start.
haven't done real great either.
No.
So
No, the 1 and 2 have a game tonight, I believe. Hopefully, steady the ship. Delhi Capitals, get us back on there if you want. We'll be keen. Warner's struggled a little bit.
He's only played the one.
Just the one.
Yeah.
Yeah, just the one.
yeah, because he was a late inclusion because of the Pakistan series.
Yeah.
He's finishing up.
Do you guys see a little bit of anti-IPL sentiment from Australians in the comments about why are these guys going over to play in the IPL when they didn't play the last few games against Pakistan, yada yada? Because I just come across a lot of it, and
Really?
yeah, a kind of a bit of a head scratcher. It's a 3-way series against Pakistan.
In Pakistan for the first time. Finish the
Yeah,
series
sure.
off.
Nah, well, they rest like Warner.
Oh, that's right, true. And they
Warner
left.
didn't
Warner
play.
Smith didn't play.
Not that Smith is in the IPL. Paddy Cummins didn't play. Mitch Marsh was injured. But yeah.
Also, they're getting fucking paid.
Well, that's exactly right. It's again, we don't want to shit on a 3-way series in Pakistan, but it's not like they're missing out on the World Cup or something. Not that would be possible. With the
And they've already played the Test series
so
and
much.
the one day
Just
is there.
played so much cricket.
Yeah.
I don't know. That was interesting to see.
Yeah.
I thought.
We talk about athletes, get yours while you can. So if
Yeah.
that means playing IPL,
True that.
do it.
So.
True that.
Just back on Yuvraj Singh.
yeah.
It was back in 2007, the T20 World Cup against England.
And the bowler was.
Have a guess. No, don't have a guess then. Stuart Broad.
That's good.
Favourite in many
yes.
Australians'
Yuvraj.
hearts.
Yeah, smack
Yeah.
that headband wearing
Karate Kid.
Karate Kid, Mr. Miyagi, motherfucker.
While Peps talks about games, Mark, can you find top run scorer and the bowling figures for us too? Can you bring those up?
They are up there.
I think Josh Butler.
Retakes. He was equal.
Shubman Gill would be
Shubman
up there.
Gill, yeah.
Gujarat Titans recruit.
De Kock made some runs as well. Maybe bring that up
I'll
on the
bring
right.
that up.
I'll run
Yeah.
through the games. So match 11 was where we spoke about Gujarat beating Delhi Capitals last episode. So match 11 is the first one that we haven't spoken about. With Punjab absolutely belting Chennai Super Kings. Liam Livingstone is a world-class player. He hit 60 off 32. I think he's the highest paid international in this IPL, I believe.
Well, I think
He got a lot of money and shows why he's worth it. Lucknow Super Giants getting the better of Sunrisers Hyderabad. KL Rahul scoring some runs for his new franchise. Rajasthan Royals going down to Royal Challengers Bangalore. I love doing that voice now since the IPL auction. Hope that bloke's going okay, by the way. Josh Butler again in the runs, 70 not, but it wasn't enough to keep RCB at bay. Match 14, Monks, if you wouldn't mind scrolling down.
Got him working overtime
yeah.
here, Jess.
Oh, well, he's there for a reason. Scroll it right up to the top. That's the way, brother.
There you go.
We had this was the Pat Cummins game where he's 56 not off 15.
So that was
got them home.
SKY. That was his first game back from Mumbai.
Yeah,
he'd been out and made an immediate impact with 52.
That more like they shouldn't be 0-4 when you look at that roster with Ishan Kishan's, SKY,
Yeah, so I think
Bumrah.
And Rohit's still there, but I think that
Pretty good roster,
and
man.
Pollard, but yeah, obviously lost both Pandya brothers. They're at the expansion teams, and the guy, Tim David, who they spent their money on, probably not money well spent.
And you see it happen year and year again in the IPL where they spend a lot of money on these players, and I thought, Tim David's going to be a shoe-in to play every game for Mumbai, and like you spoke about at the top of the ep with old D-Volt.
Yeah, took his spot.
Yeah, took his spot. He's a power tool brand, and he
Maybe that's why they go Baby AB.
Baby AB.
It does play like him and looks like his style looks a bit like him.
Imagine that being 18 years
being
old
compared
and being compared to one of the best hitters of all time. Delhi having another loss against Lucknow. Prithvi Shaw making some runs. He's been getting a bit of it, but this was Quinton de Kock show. His 80 scored half the runs for Lucknow to get them home just in the last over. Gujarat continued their winning ways, chasing down 189 from Punjab. Again, Liam Livingston amongst the runs, but Rashid Khan, he's a superstar, 3 for 22 of his 4 overs. And Shubman Gill, 96, went very close to getting the second ton of the IPL.
So this game, Gujarat had to get 12 off the last 2 balls to win it.
Who hit him?
Rahul Travatia, I think. Yeah. Like Pandya was in, got end of the 19th over. Ball goes through the keeper. The other guy, I think it was maybe David Miller, calls him through.
Yeah, right.
And Pandya's like, oh, don't do that.
Yeah.
He gets run out. And so he's like, oh, shit, now we've got to send the new guy in. Hasn't faced any pills.
Yeah.
Tawatia's like, don't worry, mate.
No, I got this.
I got it. Yeah,
Chill fam, I got this.
Yeah.
And he goes bang, bang.
Yeah, last 2 balls of the game.
Unreal. So that's
wow.
game of the IPL so far. Match 16, put that in your calendars. Could be game of the series. Sunrisers getting the win over Chennai Super Kings to continue the misery for the boys in yellow. Do we know anything about this Abhishek Sharma that made 75 for the Sunrisers?
He's opening for them.
Yeah. Young fella. Chase him up, Abhishek Sharma. This is a good thing about becoming real diehard IPL fans from Australia, is it shows you this next generation of Indian talent. So when they come down here and
I promise they've got generation on generation on generation.
And we've highlighted our concerns about it in this show multiple times, about the future dominance that is probably impending from the Indian players. But it's good to actually get a good look at them before they do play for India.
I wanted to ask you, with the Super Kings there as well, would you be worried that Ali's your top scorer with 48?
Moeen Ali can hit.
I know he can hit,
can
but
hit
he
a ball.
bats 3 for them.
It's not like Test Moeen Ali where he bats 7 or 8. He's a genuine white ball superstar, Moeen Ali.
He doesn't really bowl much for him, I don't think. It's just he's in the side for his batting.
Yeah.
But the Hyderabad, that was their first win. So there'll be
one more than Chennai and Mumbai. Abhishek Sharma, 21-year-old left-hand bat. Played for India under 19s, but uncapped so far. Bought by Delhi Daredevils a few years ago, and obviously picked up by
the Daredevils.
Yeah.
Okay. So probably a while ago.
2018.
He would have been young then.
So that's 4 years ago. So as a 17-year-old, got an IPL contract.
Wow.
Yeah.
It's just everywhere you look, there's these Indian, especially batters, where you just go, this guy could play 100 plus games for India.
You got to say, would you say it's a Sachin Tendulkar era? Like those guys, all the kids watching him.
Sachin Tendulkar's kid can't get a run. That's how good it is. Arjun Tendulkar is. Who's he on, actually? He's on.
Tendulkar is like one of the coaches for MI.
No, but his son is on a roster.
He wouldn't have got on MI or. Like
maybe but he's not. He can't break into the side.
Got the family connections there.
This will be going down well with our Indian listeners. Don't even know which the son of the goat. Who's he?
The prince.
Who's he playing for? But literally, that's the generation of talent that's coming through for India. Arjun Tendulkar, there he is, 1999. So that makes him 23. Yeah, and he's on Mumbai.
23
He's on
year.
Mumbai.
Yep.
Yeah, so can't get a run. The son of the goat. Crazy times. Speaking of Mumbai, they went down to Royal Challengers Bangalore a couple of days ago. SKY.
No, last night.
Oh, last night, yes. Yep. Getting my days mixed up. How good. Sunday night. SKY, 68 not for the Indians to get them to 151, but RCB absolutely cruised to victory with 7 wickets and 9 balls to spare. Check it out, that mate of yours, Devolt Brevis, 1 for 8 of 3 balls.
And that was Kohli.
That was there you go.
But that was the last 3 balls of the game. I think MI went, they've got to get 8 off 2 overs here or whatever. They'll throw the ball to the young fella. I think he got Kohli, and then Maxwell came out and went, game over. So
we speak about superstar rosters. That RCB roster is absolutely
I think that was Maxi's first game, and obviously he didn't have to do too much. So another young,
another young Indian left-handed
opening batsman.
Anuj Rawat, 22-year-old, with
Did the
66
damage.
of 47. They are a dime a dozen at the moment. These young Indian talented
Some of the guys
top order bats
that really kind of came out like last year, like Gaikwad for CSK. He hasn't been in form yet, but he was someone we were talking about last year.
Big time
as one of these breakout kind of batting stars. So they're wherever you look.
They're there. So we've got to keep an eye out this tournament on Abhishek Sharma, Anuj Rawat, and others. Arjun Tendulkar, if you can bust into that Mumbai Indians.
The list is long.
That stacked 0-4 Mumbai Indians team.
So there was two games today?
Tonight, So actually, the Delhi game I think kicks off pretty shortly.
Or might have
our
already
time
started.
against Kolkata. I think that's 8 o'clock our time. So I think we might be able to keep an eye on that as the podcast unravels, and then into Rajasthan Royals against Lucknow Super Giants. That's the two games for tonight.
KKR sitting on top at the moment.
Yeah, they are. Yeah,
We didn't talk about that. The two new guys up the top there.
Yeah, well, just behind KKR. So Gujarat are 2-1 and Lucknow are 2-2.
The Titans are 3-0.
3-0.
Yeah, they haven't lost yet. So
just
I guess they're one lower because the
Just have a
net
game in
run,
hand.
net run rate, but game in hand. So
Gujarat, how good's that? 2 expansion teams and off to flying starts.
and the Royals also got a game in hand and very handy net run rate.
Yeah,
So,
and struggled a bit last year as well.
but they've recruited really well.
big time.
Yeah.
Shane Warne's ex IPL team. They'll surely be what's the word that I'm looking for? Motivated by Warney's passing.
Correct.
Yeah, so Delhi and KKR kicks off in about 20 minutes, if I'm not mistaken. Run scorers, it is still Joss Butler up the top there, 205 runs from just 3 knocks, averaging 102, striking at 143, pretty handy. Shubman Gill finds himself in second ahead of Ishan Kishan, Liam Livingston and Quinton de Kock, rounding out the top 5. Interesting there, two Indians out of the top 5, and then we've got two Poms, and then we'll go to top 6, 2 South Africans, with Faf being 6th at the moment. Most wickets?
Not an Aussie.
Not inside, but also no Aussies have played more than one game.
I think Wade's played.
Australian big names.
Maxi and Stoyne and stuff.
Yeah, exactly.
Scroll and see if I'm there. No, not in the top 20.
No. Not enough games. Early days. Long seasons.
Bowling.
Umesh Yadav.
He's been very good.
9 wickets.
In the power play early on, he's swinging the ball.
Look at the economy rate, 5.25, striking it at 10.6. What a start from Umesh Yadav. That's an interesting thing that the Indian bowlers do as well, is adapt so well to T20 cricket, and it's so much of it is a function of playing IPL cricket against the best bats in the world. There's only so much exposure, I suppose, that bowling in the Big Bash or the equivalents can give a bloke. But if you've got to bowl against teams that have got 4 internationals and the Indian talent.
This is the Premier Tour.
Exactly. You develop your white ball bowling really well. And we look at the rest of that top 5, aside from Hasaranga, who is Sri Lankan, they're all Indian players there in Yuzvendra Chahal, Rahul Chahar and Avesh Khan. And in fact, most of that top 10 until we get down to Dwayne Bravo is Indian. So... the IPL breeds really good Indian players. Who would have thought it?
Pump billions of dollars into it.
Sure.
Definitely. And get quality competition for them. That's going to breed new young superstars. So.
Indeed. So moving forward, I suppose it'd be interesting to see if Mumbai and Chennai can bounce back from these poor starts. It's really interesting to see the expansion sides getting off to a pretty good start, especially Gujarat. And will our Aussies have any impact in the tournament as they get a little bit more exposure under their belt?
Agreed.
Happy with IPL?
Yes.
All good.
The other thing, there wasn't much international cricket this week. It happened live on the podcast last week that our girls won the World Cup. Alyssa Healy, her big 170, they won off the back of that. Although
she was player of the tournament, wasn't she?
I believe so.
I don't know what the
At
award was.
least, at least of the,
She
at least of the final.
And she definitely, she
was
scored.
top-
Them,
she was
she was top run scorer. And Mitch Stark, her husband, was top wicket taker 2015. So in the couple, they've got top runs and top
Some nice
wickets out of
trophies
World
to
Cup.
have
Not bad.
Their kids
foyer.
might go okay one day.
Yeah, you'd imagine. Yeah, imagine if they don't want to play cricket. That'd be interesting. And there was that one-off T20 game between Australia and Pakistan. Australia actually getting the win in this one. Pakistan making 162 for 8. Babar Azam amongst
Jeez,
the
he's
runs.
good.
Shocked me. We spoke at length, ad nauseum, if you will, about his skill with the red ball. Pretty bloody good with the white ball as well.
Is he got a run in the IPL?
I don't think he's got a contract.
Pakistani players don't
I
generally
know.
play in
Yes.
India, I think, and vice versa.
Yeah, exactly. So he's,
I
he's a
figured
big
that was gonna be the
PSL
case.
fan. Be interesting to see if we can solve
The relationship.
solve get peace in the Middle East.
Well, if anything's going to do it, hopefully cricket would be the answer.
Yeah, interesting. And then if you just wouldn't mind scrolling down to how we went, Finchy made some runs.
That's the big story.
We were bad mouthing him. He must be listening.
Said
to
his
this
career's
podcast.
over. He's probably done.
Yeah, I didn't say his career was over. You can use those words if you want there, Sean. I said I think that the Australian
Got his front pad out of the way long enough to make some runs.
Goodness, anything that hits him on the pads, you start holding your breath on, don't you? But Cricket Australia, I still think will say, mate, you've got to the World Cup, then we'll reassess. That was my take. We'll see how well that ages, but he did make some runs, at least 55, and sort of we didn't really get there comfortably. Getting the runs in the last over, seven down.
Stoin with 23 off 9.
He's so hot.
With 5 of them. 5 boundaries. So
Yeah. And McDermott batting down the order, interesting.
finisher.
I was just looking at that.
isn't he?
Yeah. But it was the big Stoin that did the damage there. Australia doesn't play international cricket now until the middle of the year, Sri Lanka. So IPL will be our focus in terms of the cricket world moving forward, I believe. South Africa's playing Bangladesh, smashed them in the first test, second
Put up
test.
like 400 or something.
Currently
First
underway. Look at this Bangladesh side, if you wouldn't mind getting that scorecard up, Monks. A lot of names that aren't household names, a bit of a passing of the guard, if you will.
We could get Sean to try and say them all. That'd be fun.
Remember when we did that for the Oz Open? That was a fun little segment, wasn't it?
Don't bring that up again.
Yeah, so obviously Dean Elgar, Temba Bavuma, Maharaj, they're all kind of, names that we've come to learn. Peterson as well, Keegan Peterson, that is. But outside of that, Irvi, Rickleton, very...
I mean, you got like Rabada and Nokia. They're over
in
in the
the
IPL.
IPL.
Obviously, De Kock said he's not playing Test cricket anymore.
FF.
Yeah.
So interesting that the Aussies want to, look at our own players for missing a one-off, T20 game or a couple of ODIs. Look at these South Africans. They're going down the route of the West Indian players, aren't they? Where they've gone, look, I'm going to take the money, and Test cricket maybe doesn't mean that much to me.
Has West Indians Test cricket improved though?
Well, they just beat England.
That
Was South Africa two
not setting
in
a high
the world
bar at the
in the ICC championship at the moment,
They are.
aren't they?
Yeah,
So
can you get that up, actually? The ICC championship
they had that series against India
that they won at home.
and then got this series. They have another one. Did they play the Kiwis at any point?
may have.
But yeah, obviously, even without
They're
all of
superstars,
their
yeah.
frontliners, they're still performing.
It's unbelievable that the team has been able to perform at the standard that they have, given the state of the South African Cricket Board, and talking about India-Pakistan relations before. The same thing could be said, I suppose, here. But the team keeps performing. It's also probably a note to where India is at, that they went to that series as red hot favourites in South Africa, and it was a surprise that South Africa won that series at home. So that probably speaks volumes as to where India and South Africa are going as international cricketing nations.
South Africa, I don't know whether they've been playing a lot at home, put them on the road and they might.
Yeah, well, that's cricket, isn't it?
That's cricket.
Put us in India and see how we go. But yeah, it's good to see, I suppose. Without their front line players, that they're still able to compete well. A little bit unfortunate for Bangladesh. I thought they were kind of trending in the right direction. Hopefully they put up a little bit more resistance in this second test.
Yeah, well, what were they, 3 down with just 200 on the board? Or just
No.
5, I think.
Making you
5
work
down.
overtime today,
scroll
mate.
up.
Yeah, loving it.
Whether what they got skittled for 50 odd.
53, wasn't
And I
it, in
think-
the first test? They got absolutely skittled.
And I think
Not-
every
six
wicket
down,
was
100
taken
runs.
by a spinner or something like that. Yeah.
Not looking good here in the second test at Port Elizabeth. South
just got
Africa
another wicket.
made 453,
Must have, yeah.
and Bangladesh, did they just take another one? Six for 192? 7 for 192?
6.
Six.
So it was 5 just a second ago.
Yeah, so big danger there.
Yeah.
Did you get those rankings?
Oh, yeah,
Yes.
ICC rankings.
So in terms of the rankings, so
Guess who's won, baby?
yep, Australia's won, sitting up there at the top, and South Africa's second, India's third, and run through the rest of the teams. We've got Pakistan, Sri Lanka, New Zealand, West Indies, Bangladesh, and then England.
And New Zealand probably the shock there, aren't they? Like that far down.
They are. How many games have they played? Oh,
So-
there's a fair few there. They've played
Yeah.
six games in that. Losing, they dropped that one to Bangladesh
Yeah.
at home, which
Huge.
hurt a lot.
Yeah. And then moving forward, so Bangladesh has a 2-test series against Sri Lanka, and then New Zealand go over to
England.
England.
That'll be spicy. 3 tests there in June, and the Aussies
Yeah, we go to Sri Lanka.
end of
End
June, start of
June.
July.
Yep. And then to round out, I guess, most of this year, South Africa go over to England.
Okay, so that'll be a test for South Africa.
Yep.
Yeah.
Go to England.
Yeah, I know it's still a few months away, but you'd have to think South Africa start favourites in that, or maybe.
Maybe not let's turn a test.
Okay, happy with that for cricket?
Yes, cricket done.
IPL continues. Internationals will have a bit of a break as the IPL heats up over the coming month and a bit. NBA.
Yes.
What a time of the year in the NBA. It can feel like a drawn out year. There's a little bit of background noise there as Sean just ducks out for going to the loo.
That waddle.
Yeah. So the Lakers are gone. It just confirmed what we've been speaking about probably for the last month. A shit show of a year, really, considering the talent that they had. I suppose you could cry injury that their big 3 in LeBron, AD, and Russell didn't play too much cricket together. I think
They play cricket together.
too much basketball.
Still got cricket on the brain.
cricket.
That's why they didn't make it. They were playing the wrong sport.
Imagine LeBron steaming in off 32 steps. I reckon if he played cricket, I wouldn't want to face LeBron if he'd grown up playing cricket. Interesting capitulation of a year for the Lakers. Will Frank Vogel have a job moving forward? Time will tell. Does Russ get moved on? I would say most likely. Where does he end up? God knows. But I don't think it'll be with the Lakers next year. And probably the funniest thing this week was the Phoenix Suns rested all their players against OKC, whose season was already done, and then brought back CP3 and Booker and DeAndre Ayton and Jay Crowder to finish the Lakers' year. Big dick energy there from Phoenix.
Just to
going,
really rub it in.
Yeah, we're the big boys in the West now, buddy.
Yeah.
We decide who plays playoffs.
Exactly. So they just thought, and they literally they can't finish. They haven't been able to finish lower than first for a few weeks. So it was literally up to the coach and the management to say, rest them all against OKC, throw them a bone. Josh Giddey, he's a good bloke. Go Aussies. And then let's bring back the whole squad to end the Lakers season. A little bit of a lull there from Phoenix. So we do have play in tournament this week. The West is confirmed, so it'll be 7 and 8. That will be Minnesota taking on the LA Clippers. We spoke a little bit about the big 3, if you will, that's starting to develop out of Minnesota in the fact that they're all top 5 draft picks in Karl Anthony Towns, Anthony Edwards, and D'Angelo Russell. It's probably their first full season together. Starting to see them gel. KAT, we saw him develop immensely as a big man that can shoot the 3 ball. Him comparing himself to Dirk Nowitzki a little bit on the nose for me, but the way that he's playing, if he does another 15 years playing like that, maybe he can compare himself to big Dirk Nowitzki. But it all comes down to this one game and then a repechage if they do lose.
This is probably the first time, noting all those top 5 picks, this is probably the first time the T-Wolves have played any playoff basketball for a while.
Chase
you'd think.
that up. They've been...
You don't just get top 5 picks because you're competing every year.
They've been perpetual cellar dwellers, the Minnesota Timberwolves. And they go up against the Clippers side, who's really been carried this year by PG-13. Will we see regular season Paul George, or will we get playoff Paul, pandemic Paul they were calling him, hit and miss last year in the big games? Norman Powell has been really good since joining the Clippers from Portland, but does only have about 5 games under the belt. So, will he be able to transfer that into this play-in tournament? And a big job for the big Croatian, Ivica Zubac. We saw him having some good battles last year in the playoffs. He'll have to go to KAT, a great defender, and he'll have to be going up against KAT. Doesn't matter too much. The winner get the Grizzlies. We saw the Grizzlies go absolutely bonkers today. Scored 55 in the third quarter. That was 3 points off at an NBA record. And they just share the ball. I think they had seven players score double digits. Jar, only scored 22, 23. He doesn't need to carry that team. They're a good basketball team.
Kind of the opposite of the Lakers in that not all the big names, but teamwork and gelling and all that kind of stuff.
Yeah, and it's it's an old saying, superstar teams beats a team of superstars, yada yada. But look, sometimes there's a reason why sayings exist, and that's perhaps because they pertain to some truth. I think anyone that is that doesn't have a horse in this race will really be getting around your Timberwolves, your Grizzlies, maybe your Mavs with Luka. I think there'll be a lot of people jumping on those kind of bandwagons this year.
Mm-hmm. And I just did a quick check for the Clippers for Kawhi. So he's been back at practice doing
could they rush him?
Individual work, but he won't play in this. I don't think he's getting close. We're doing individual work there, but he hasn't really been
hasn't played all year. For a player of Kawhi's stature,
I think they'd have to go deep for him to even get a game this year, or to even risk him.
It's the risk as well. For a one-off game, is it worth risking? A guy that you want to keep there. Kawhi famously has moved around a fair bit already.
Yeah, it'd have to be a big series in the playoffs to do that.
9 and 10, we'll talk about it quickly. Don't see either of these two teams bothering anyone really, but the Pelicans and Spurs will play off. CJ McCollum being an absolute revelation for New Orleans since going over from Portland. It'd be interesting to see next year if Zion and him are able to make a formidable pairing there in New Orleans. Zion, infamously missing most of the year from some weight issues. And for the Spurs, we've seen the rapid development of DeJounte Murray. I don't see either of these teams getting through the loser of the Wolves or Clippers. Although it is a one-off game of basketball, it could happen. If that happens, good luck against Phoenix.
Definitely don't see them getting that far.
That's it. Real quick, back on the Timberwolves, the last time they made the playoffs was 2018.
It's not that long ago, but I think before then probably.
They've made the playoffs a total of 9 times in their 32 seasons. And the last time they won a series was in 2004, where they beat the Kings.
Okay. There you go.
In Western Conference semifinals.
Well, they made it in 18, but didn't last long.
Yeah, so 18 years since they've won a playoff series.
Yeah.
That's big. That's big. The people of Minnesota will really be cheering them on to try to not only get through this Clippers game, but then to take on the red-hot Memphis Grizzlies.
Try and get deep, yeah.
Now, the East, there were a few games today. So, Monks, that's as it stands, is it not?
Is
that the bracket as it
official
stands?
NBA website, so I'd hope so.
Because there are games tomorrow, and last I had checked, we still had some different permutations as to who could be playing who in the play-in tournament in the East. It will be some kind of mix of the Nets, Cavs, Hawks, and Hornets. But just check, because we do have our last round of games Sunday over there in the States. It is Sunday night now.
Cavs, Bucks, Rockets, Hawks tomorrow, and both of those feature in that conversation.
Yep. And
Nets, Pacers, Hornets, Wizards, 76ers, Pistons, Magic Heat. There's a lot playing tomorrow.
Yeah, it's final day.
Everyone.
Final day, so there's only one game between the Hornets, who are 10th, and the Nets, who are 7th at the moment. So we could, depending on today's results, see all kinds of changes in who will be playing who in the Eastern play-ins.
Nets have Pacers.
Nets have Pacers. Should win. Pacers nothing to play for. You'd imagine KD has himself a day. KD's really had to put this Nets team on his back, hasn't he? After losing his running mate in James Harden and playing with half a man, Kyrie.
Kyrie I think is full Kyrie now.
He's full Kyrie. That's big for them going forward, isn't it?
But no, they shut Ben Simmons down for the year this week as well, so he's not going to play this season.
Cavaliers are probably the one that they're in 8th. They could drop because they got the Bucks, I think.
Oh, yep.
Yes.
Yep. Interesting. And the Bucks will want to stay ahead of the Celtics. So all kinds of interesting matchups coming up today over there in the States. You see, Ben Simmons is suing Philadelphia.
That's ballsy.
So see if you can get a story up regarding that. Look, through this whole saga, we were trying to be very pro Ben Simmons. He's Aussie. We wanted to try and get around him. Last year when he was getting all kinds of abuse around, his playoff performance and missing shots and the rest of it. Mm-hmm. This is making it really difficult to just keep supporting him. I don't understand how he can make the decision to not play all year and then try to sue for the money that he missed out on from everything that we can see from the outside looking in. It was Ben Simmons' choice to not play in a lot of these games this year. But
you can't then in that saying as well, like if for him mental health for Ben Simmons, you can't give him one what's the word? My comparison, was you give him the leeway, but then for Dusty, you don't give him the leeway, but for Dusty, you say, well, hey, you go do the same thing. So, like for guys that obviously they're dealing with something, and they want to step away from the club. So, Richmond's going to turn around and fine Dusty for not being there. Whereas the 76ers were like, hey, fuck you, we want you here.
Yeah, interesting comparison. If Ben Simmons had won Philadelphia three titles
I'm not talking about the accolades. I'm talking about the mental health situation.
Yeah, it's still a human. It's still a human being.
Yes.
Yeah, okay. And
that's what I'm talking about.
Yeah, that's a fair point that you raised there, Shauno. And it is interesting that I've myself in an hour and a half sitting here have raced to defend Dustin Martin, and I've gone, well, Ben Simmons is making it harder and harder to like him. I will stand by that statement though, because I do think
everyone sues everyone in America.
Still a little bit and look, the only thing that is confirmed out of this is I think he's lost his status as an Australian. He's an American. He's gone straight down litigation, and he's gone. I put the responsibility on someone else for me being a fuckwit this year, and I'm going to sue Philadelphia for all they're worth. I don't know how that's going to play out in court. I don't know anything about legal stuff. I barely know anything about sport, and I talk about that on the internet.
100% depend on his contract.
But it's been a roller coaster of a year for Ben Simmons as Viliami Kikau goes over for Penrith.
But that was indicative of Penrith in that they're winning 32-12 on the final siren, and he's laying out for a ball to get a score. That's why they're up at the top of the ladder.
That's why they are as elite as they are. Yeah, you know what? I was having a look at the odds before this game to maybe put on a multi. I didn't actually get on there in the end. I don't know if he's got that down. Kikau pays $2.50 to score a try as an edge back rower. That is testament to how many meat pies he scores and how deadly a player he is.
So he might have just disappointed some.
He may have.
Some punters out there.
I don't know if he got that down.
So maybe lucky he didn't put that multi on.
Yeah, you win some, you lose some.
Quit while you're ahead.
He may have already scored one. We haven't had this.
I'm checking it. You're going to beat me to it.
No, he hasn't. He hasn't.
I'd be disappointed.
Yeah.
Anyway, we're talking about basketball.
We are talking about basketball.
Yeah, let's finish basketball. We'll talk about that
listeners, all three of you.
Rickens in America, is it?
Yeah, he is. I haven't seen Rick in here. It must be having a night
It was. It's probably a bit early.
Time zone
Yeah, actually, you
Getting
know
it.
what? I wonder what. It's late there actually now, or early.
It would be
Anyway.
very, very
Anyway,
early.
back
Don't
to
do the
basketball.
math.
No, don't do the maths.
maths.
Move on.
Let's finish the basketball.
MVP watch. Is that what we're on up to?
Yeah,
I think so.
Yeah.
So Nikola Jokic, Firms' is favourite. If you wouldn't mind chasing that up for me, Monkey
He was like
Magic.
$1.30 last week. or
Yeah, I
something.
think he'll be very short now.
Yeah.
2,000 points, 1,000 rebounds, 500 assists in the year. First player to ever do that, which is pretty impressive.
So betters his last year,
So,
which is his MVP.
statistically, he's had a better year than he did last year, where he won the MVP. Maybe the play of other players has gone up. Joel Embiid has been lights out this year. It's probably a two-horse race at this stage. I think the odds will reflect that. The history is in his favour. So we've had lots of back-to-back winners recently. Giannis, Steph, LeBron, all back-to-back. We've got LeBron at Cleveland there. Tim Duncan did it. Steve Nash did it. And then a few guys you might have heard of: Michael Jordan, Magic Johnson, Larry Bird, etc. Yeah, chuck Moses Malone in there. So not that uncommon for guys to go back to back. And the Joker, the big Serb, is looking at doing it and becoming, what I'm going to say, second Euro player to do it after Giannis. I'm pretty confident that Nowitzki never did it. He's the only other that comes to mind. Yeah, I'm going to be confident there to become the second European player to go back to back. He does have to win the thing first. And what are the odds there, monks?
It does. Haven't changed from last week, so he's still favourite at $1.30. Embiid is sitting at $3.60, and around out to top three, we've got Giannis at $8.50, and there's a huge drop off after that.
We might have to check the tape because I think Joe Embiid might have actually moved out a little bit. I think
Yep.
he was less than $3.60.
But all the-
It's pretty close to that.
It's pretty
to
close.
what it was.
Yeah.
Those top three guys aren't Americans, so that's interesting.
Yeah. Actually, Embiid's Cameroonian. Yeah, but yeah, top three, and then
Yep.
Booker is fourth, and then you go Luka at five. So 4 out of the 5
Interesting.
top players aren't American.
They're still dominating any team.
Yeah, they do.
tournament.
Well, it's one of those things. Can anyone ever, push them? They have lost tournaments that they shouldn't have lost before, but being the dominant force in basketball, no, probably not.
Currently. Did you want to finish with March Madness?
Oh yeah, we haven't. Yeah, we didn't talk about.
We didn't talk about the
let's talk
champion.
about March
Because about
Madness.
Final
UNC
Four
taking on
this
Kansas
time last
City.
week.
MVP.
Or Kansas State, I think it was.
Yeah, so Nowitzki won it in
Kansas.
in 06-07, but never went back to back. So I can stand by my
You are
statement.
correct. Kansas.
Gotcha.
But thank you for pulling that one up for Big Dirk.
Yeah.
UNC and
Kansas.
and Kansas. Yes,
Yes, UNC took the first half convincingly, 40-25, but then
15 points, big lead in basketball.
but shit the bed in the second half though, 47-29.
You compared them to the Atlanta Falcons.
That was the memes. The picture of Tom Brady sitting on the bench and they got Kansas across his. It was like, hey, well, I'm coming for you, because they did. They got really back in that basketball game to get the win. Especially scoring 47 points to have to do it in the second after only scoring 25 in the first. Like, it's a big turn of event. I think a lot of them. Well, they were the favourites. They were number 1, and UNC were 8th.
Out of different brackets, though, so there are 4 1 seeds.
Yeah.
But in an interesting tournament in where a lot of the higher seeds got bumped pretty early. So for it to finish with a 1 seed winning, a little bit of serendipity there. Kansas have an elite record in winning these. I'm sure Monksy might be able to chase that one up for us. I suppose the big thing as well moving forward is who of these guys will get drafted. I probably hadn't paid enough attention to college basketball to
know how whether they do a one and done or whether they're going to do like their whole college career. Like, it's hard to say when they'll actually
exactly right, but
commit themselves and go out there.
I'm sure we'll see that moving forward when the NBA draft kind of chat comes to fruition. Kansas, I'm sure, have won multiple ones of these. Monks? Yeah. Down there, Kansas. There
we go.
4. So that was their 4th. So they won in 08, but then you have to go back to 1988. UCLA tops that list with 11 for those playing at home, although have done not much since 1995. That'll do us for.
Yes, I think that'll finish with basketball. Monks, you want to refresh that and see if you can
One
get,
round ball together?
some cricket. Just to finish off, what was that final score in that Panthers game? 32-16?
No, 32 to 12.
12. There you go. To deck the Cowboys. So
The Bulldogs.
wow.
Multiple sport. It's hard going from one sport to another. I will
My
back you
brain
up
doesn't
there,
work
sure.
properly anyway. So
Yeah, I will also back you up on that.
yes, dicking the
Soccer.
Bulldogs in that. So, yeah.
Champions League. The champions. Man City put away Atletico just by 1-0 at the Etihad, despite dominating the ball. How about this? Atletico, 0 shots in that game. To come away 1-0, losers probably not the worst result. They'll get to go back to Madrid and only have that one goal there.
Who the fuck wants rugby?
To go back. Poor rugby. What do we got? This is sevens.
Yeah, sevens.
Yeah. There we go.
Monks is
Didn't
just
know it
doing
was on.
some KO surfing channels for those who can't see.
No, IPL starts a little later tonight, so I don't think we'll catch any of those
So
games.
it's not an 8 o'clock game.
So,
I think I saw it was starting at 11.
so back to the soccer. Atletico doesn't speak well to their chances of winning the second leg if they haven't got a shot on goal in the first leg.
No,
You wouldn't-
it doesn't. And Man City are arguably the best team in the world. But they also might leave that and go, look, we played like garbage and it's 1-0.
Yep.
And
Only up from here.
yeah, and
Start
and,
start nil all in
Yeah, Cats
Yep.
are playing.
next match.
yep, get 2 at home or
Don't know why I didn't show up.
force extra time.
here we go.
They'll give themselves a sniff. Liverpool put 3 on Benfica in Lisbon. So 3 away goals for the Reds. Going to be pretty hard to see them not advancing after returning to Anfield. They'll be able to park the bus and go through to the semis, you'd imagine. The usual suspects there for the Reds. Mane scoring along with Diaz and Konate. Real Madrid, so one good result for the two Madrid sides. Real putting away Chelsea 3-1 at Stamford Bridge. This was kind of the opposite of the City Atletico game in that Chelsea had all the ball and the shots and they couldn't capitalise and ended up going down 3-1 at home. Karim Benzema, hat-trick. An absolute career resurgence. We saw him in the late Ronaldo era starting to really kind of wane as a player, as a striker, wasn't getting picked for France, and was kind of looking like he was on the way out, and then has been, since Ronaldo's departure, it's like becoming a father, if you will. You know, you just have to learn how to do it. Sean, you can be the only bloke that at the table that knows how to do it. But it's sink or swim. You're the striker now for Real.
That's generally how it
I was about to say,
works.
can we just
Just get full of water
confirm
from
that he
it.
knows how to do it?
Well, he's learning on the job.
Yeah, he's on the job regardless.
He's learning on the job. And
I've got a couple chances. It's all right.
That's right. Might get the third one right. But Karim Benzema has been outstanding, and he's 34. So to have this career resurgence, he's scored bulk goals in the last 2 years.
Do it at the top level.
for Real. And again, like Liverpool, 3-1 away. Pretty hard to see them not playing semi-final Champions League football. They're also going to win La Liga, by the way. Barca a little bit better this year than last year. Obviously, a guy called Lionel Messi not being in the side makes things pretty interesting there in Catalans. And another Spanish team that had a big surprise was Villarreal beating Bayern 1-0 from a Danjuma goal for Villarreal. They also had a goal disallowed. Bayern had been shit hot in the group
this
stage.
is huge, isn't it?
Yeah, it's massive. Again, we spoke about Atletico. You're away, you're down 1-0, and it's kind of different circumstances. Bayern were very good in this, dominated all the stats, just couldn't get on the scorecard. I think Bayern will still go home and have confidence that they can get the job done, but it makes for a really interesting second leg in that game.
Because they're miles ahead in the Germany league.
It's wrapped. They're going
Like-
for 10 in a row. This will be
there's-
10 in a row.
They wrapped it up week one.
in everything, haven't they?
It's a
insane.
problem. It's a problem, I think.
But this is-
we've spoken about it on the Esky a little bit before. From guys that follow a lot of sports that have salary caps, and anyone can win it each year. I can't imagine being a German soccer fan that didn't support Bayern. Borussia always do well. But yeah, at the start of the year, it's like who can beat Bayern?
But I guess this is the kind of beauty of the Champions League in that it's only 1 or 2 games. So if you balls it up, like me as a fairly kind of consistent soccer fan, I look at that, I notice, no PSG there, even though Messi's gone. Like as you said, Barca haven't been that good.
Yep.
Yeah. So, but Atletico and Villarreal are probably that kind of next tier down, but they're making a show of it. So.
Yeah, it's gonna be very interesting. These second legs in the Villarreal Bayern game and City and Atletico, Liverpool and Real going through. I imagine Chelsea and Benfica will need to just concentrate on their league seasons moving forward. Monks, can you chase up the odds? I imagine we'll probably have some short stuff for City, Liverpool, Real. It'd be interesting to see what Bayern are compared to Villarreal. I think despite losing that game, they'll still be shorter. Going home, I think the bookies will back them in to get the job done. Liverpool, red hot favourites. This is again. You know how we talk about Australian betting markets, and you got to watch out for the Australian bias. There's English bias in this too, I reckon. So just go through the odds there for us, Monks, if you wouldn't mind.
Yeah, so Liverpool tops it at $2.70. After them, we've got Man U close behind $2.80. A bit of a drop off to Bayern Munich at $5.50.
So look at that, they're third favourites after losing their away legs. So that speaks volumes to how good a football side they are.
And then we've got Real at $7, and then Villarreal sitting at 34.
And then Atletico, Chelsea, and Benfica, probably don't worry about it.
Yeah.
Atletico, $41. Oh, big ask to beat City, but you never know. Stranger things have happened.
The game's happening this week in Australian time, Wednesday morning, Thursday morning.
Yep.
5 a.m.
So for those early risers, some do or die Champions League football Wednesday and Thursday morning. Match day 32 in the EPL, and it is a massive one. We will talk about the City-Liverpool game, I think, to wrap up this week in the EPL.
Yep.
Just go through the games that have happened. So Spurs have really consolidated 4th place, and I'll tell you what, Arsenal and United and the rest are doing all their best not to wrap up this 4th spot.
Helping Spurs out.
Remember a few weeks ago we were talking about Arsenal had 3 games in hand. They're looking red hot to take this 4th spot, and they've just gone bang, bang, lost to 2 teams that they shouldn't have lost to, including Brighton 2-1 this weekend. And United going down to Everton. We're talking about Everton being perhaps, on the borderline relegation, and United going out there with Cristiano Ronaldo and all their stars and losing. I can't see United making this top 4, and Arsenal are making it very hard for themselves. They do still have a game in hand behind Tottenham, but they are 3 points behind Tottenham now. Tottenham smacked Aston Villa. Chelsea smacked Southampton. Chelsea have 3rd place wrapped up. Give that to them.
I don't think they can lose that, and I don't think they can progress from there.
Yeah, but that race for 4th is very interesting with Arsenal.
Well, we wrote the Hammers off, and they've moved back into 6th.
Yeah. Hammers, they play tonight. They play Brentford tonight. The interesting story out of Brentford is there's a lot of interest from his old club, Spurs, and also from United for signing Christian Eriksen. After a year at a smaller club, after the horrible scenes of the Euros and the cardiac arrest.
He was happy just to get a deal.
Of course, he'd be happy just to be playing football and be healthy. Yeah, so he's been killing it for Brentford, and baby, come back. They want him back at Spurs, and I imagine some other big clubs will have a nip at Christian Eriksen. But have you got the?
I do have it here, so I'll just run it through.
I shouldn't say the ladder. Have you got the table there?
Table, yes. So, like you said, Spurs.
Standings. What do they
Spurs
say?
are there in 4th with 57. Arsenal with 54. Hammers and United at 6th and 7th with 51 each. Interestingly enough, the Wolves, they're in 8th. They are on 49. So they are very close, but they have played 32
games.
Extra game.
Yeah,
Mate, never say never. Imagine Wolverhampton getting into the Champions League.
Up in there, yeah. But on the bottom of the table with Everton getting that win, they're 4 points clear. So potentially those bottom 3 will be the 3 that get dropped out. Being City, Norwich City, Watford, and Burnley.
Norwich, mate. That's we talked. Isn't it? Norwich. Yeah.
And Newcastle, of course, won another game.
Yeah,
And
they're going to be
So
safe.
well
they'll be
clear.
safe.
That oil money is safe. Don't worry. Don't worry. You'll be playing Champions League football in no time, the Magpies. All right, the big one. Could this decide this year's EPL winner? Possibly.
Yes.
Man City.
Probably.
No, I'm going to
How many match days are left?
Six.
It's 38, isn't it?
No, well, actually 8 for these two teams. Like Wolves have played 32, so it's 6 for them.
So potentially you could lose this and still win.
Yeah, exactly.
But it's a huge morale booster. I think.
Well, I think City can lose this and still win. I think Liverpool can't afford to lose this because if we look at Liverpool's run home, if you wouldn't mind bringing that up,
They've won 5 straight.
They have won 5 straight, and we spoke, earlier in the podcast about not ruling teams out, and that's probably a lesson that we've got to learn here in our young podcasting career is to not, never say never.
We got to.
You're on the internet, make big calls.
Big calls. Who cares if you're wrong?
Balls on the table.
You're afraid of the Gabba. Yes, they are afraid of the Gabba. They haven't won there for 30 years. Yada, yada, yada. Aged very well, didn't it?
Those clicks.
That's right. Aaron Finch sucks at cricket. No, he's actually really good.
Well, I think we've got to thank Liverpool for at least making this.
Making it interesting.
Yeah. City there for a long time had easy double-digit lead. So
14 points at the start of 2022, which is not that long ago in terms of games played when you factor in internationals and the rest of it. They were 14 points ahead,
which is a lot.
And,
And it
they
stands
haven't
at
played that bad. They've
one at the moment?
One.
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 one's the gap.
And I think in that time, City have only lost twice. A few draws here and there. Liverpool just aren't losing.
Aren't drawing.
Either. Just winning. So a massive game.
To answer your question, Liverpool have only lost 2 matches. City have lost 3, but City with only 4 draws and 6 draws for Liverpool.
There you go. It's got to be a cracker at the Eddie
wins in the other column.
At the Eddie had tonight. Liverpool's run home is what concerns me. I think they have Tottenham. I think they have United, whereas City don't have a relatively hard run home. Have you got it there, man?
So I've got they've got Man U, they've got Everton, Newcastle, Spurs, Aston Villa, Southampton, Wolves.
So after the Spurs game, you'd expect them to put those 3 to bed. So the big games, and call them big games, United, Everton, Newcastle, Spurs for Liverpool. So 2 good sides there, 2 middle sides there. If you wouldn't mind bringing up City.
I've got City. So they've got, besides Liverpool, it looks like they'll have Wolves, Brighton, Watford, Leeds United, Newcastle, Hammers, and Aston Villa.
So much easier to run home.
Yeah.
So that's why I say I think City can afford to lose this. I don't know if Liverpool can. But the way that they've been playing, who knows? Who knows? Cracking matchup. Right in the middle of the night for us. Probably a hard one on a Sunday night, but I look forward to catching the highlights in the morning. The NFL.
Yeah.
What is this story here between the Eagles and the Saints? There's a lot of mumbo jumbo in terms of trades on offer.
Honestly, no fucking idea what the Eagles or the Saints are trying to do with this because I believe the Eagles had 3 first rounds in the upcoming draft.
They did.
So they've traded 16 and 19 to move back to 18, but then also pick up a first rounder next year and a second rounder the following year, being the big picks. Mm-hmm. Of course, they pick up an extra 3rd and 7th in this year's draft. Whether they thought with the 3 first round picks, in this one they don't really need to move up. They're not going to target one of the quarterbacks, so they're going to stick with Hurts for another year. Maybe next year is the draft, and they've then loaded up with more first rounders in the next one. But then I don't know why the Saints paid so much in this, essentially to move up 2 spots and gain an extra first rounder. Like it's.
I'll be interested to know. I'd be interested to know kind of who initiated the trade.
Yeah.
Was it the Saints looking to pick up an extra first rounder this year, or was it the Eagles saying, "Hey, we've got 3.
And with where the Saints, have played, and
I wonder if the Saints are then looking for another trade partner to bundle 2 for 1 in the top 5 or something like that. Like, are they looking to make a play?
Potentially, but I don't think there's any quarterbacks kind of... This year's quarterback class isn't that great.
That's worth doing
we keep saying that, but you got to imagine 1 or 2 of these quarterbacks have to be good talent. You can't just write off a whole draft class.
You can go back and look at some of the other previous quarterback draft classes and go, yeah, these weren't great.
Well, I'll Google that worst quarterback draft class. I reckon there's going to be there'll be a few good quarterbacks out of it every.
I think part of that dilemma as well. You don't necessarily getting quarterbacks in the first round either.
Well, if you trade 2 first rounders to make 1, you'd only do that for a QB.
That's what you're talking. So that being said, though, the rumor is I think it looks like they were trying to jump ahead of LA. To
Bolts,
get
that is
possibly to get an offensive tackle.
Offensive tackle. The trenches in this year's draft is pretty heavy. From everything I've seen, the skill positions, well, especially on the offensive side of the ball, not as strong as what I thought last year's was. Kenny Pickett's probably the biggest name of the quarterback, but I don't think he's as polished passer as Mac Jones was last year. That's the comparison. Yep. But he's got more athletic to him.
He's got nice legs.
But yeah,
and the fake slide.
But if you saw where Mac Jones kind of went in that middle tier, I don't think you really want to be spending that first round for Kenny Pickett. And then Malik Willis is kind of could be anything.
He's at that small school, isn't he?
Liberty, yeah.
Liberty, yeah.
But he gets the Lamar comparison, but he's nowhere near the passer that Lamar was. And the offense they run was very run heavy. He looks like a running back playing quarterback.
What is that college? Liberty College.
Louisiana. And then the other 2 guys, Howie and I've forgotten his name now. He played at Ole Miss. They look more like backups to me. Okay. They're probably second rounders, but I don't. They got the Colt McCoy factor, unfortunately. It's not a great class.
I may have to eat my words regarding poor draft classes. 2007, household names as in Jamarcus Russell.
They were household names at the time, but yeah.
No.
Jamarcus Russell and who went to Cleveland.
I'm confirming your point.
Yes, I know.
Yeah, Jamarcus Russell, Brady Quinn, Kevin Kolb, John Beck, Drew Stanton. That was the first 5 quarterbacks to go in that draft. None of them went on to have, long starting jobs in the NFL at all. So there you go, 2007.
Not what you'd want out of a first-round pick as a quarterback, unfortunately.
Yeah, 2013.
But they also went to 2 of the worst clubs in NFL at the time.
Well, and that's how the draft works, I suppose. If they ended up in a New England system, it might have been a different story. 2013, EJ Manuel, Geno Smith, Mike Glennon, Matt Barkley. So, yeah, you do have these years where they just don't produce elite quarterback talent. Interesting to see what happens moving forward.
It's just a combination of like the one-year wonders that get through, or the seniors that all come out at the time. But sometimes you just get a lull in quarterbacks.
So Liberty University is in Virginia. Is it Div 2 or is it Div 1?
No, so it's a Div 1, but it's because there's the SEC, there's Big Ten, there's all the different conferences. So they're in one of those other ones.
But they're not in the bowl; they're in the championship. They're
an independent, so they're not in one of those.
They're independent, so it's like
Notre Dame.
Navy and shit. Yeah. There you go.
But they won a fair few games, of course, this year. So, but yeah. But like I said, trenches heavy. Defense probably very heavy this year. Lots of Georgia guys going to go in that first round. That's where I'd probably looking to spend my first rounders this year.
Well, we've got 3 weeks to the draft.
Yes.
Let's go. For those that are listening, we will do a live draft coverage. At least me and you will be there, I believe.
Yeah, I'll be there.
Yeah.
It's his house, so it better be.
Just leave the door. Key under the mat.
You can work from home.
Figure it out. Yeah. Still working on that one.
What's next on the agenda?
Stephon Diggs got paid.
Run us through this deal.
Well, it's another one of those wide receivers getting paid. At least he didn't have to be traded for. So, and we didn't talk about this last week, and I kind of wanted to cover it maybe a little bit here. The team's trading first-round picks to pick wide receivers, considering the wide receiver draft classes that keep coming out every year. Don't think it's a worthwhile investment, and then have to turn around and spend $20 million on them every year. It'd be interesting to see how these teams that have done that will play this year. I think keeping Diggs and the Allen connection together is probably a good one. But
did you see? So his brother at Dallas was saying, 14 would look good wearing stars. Josh Allen comments, no.
The old one-word response.
And then
in a one-word text message.
He clearly walked into the GM's office and said, pay the man.
Hey, keep him here. Now.
Keep him here.
Yeah, because
No, Aaron Rodgers situation.
He's not going anywhere.
because they've got a great corpse as well. He's the face of that, of course, with Gabriel Davis there. And I
Corpse?
think
Wide receiving core.
core.
Yeah.
Yes.
A corpse is a dead body.
No, corpse.
It's spelled
CORPS.
Bill's Mafia. You don't know what plural of that. You know what the hell they did.
Anyway.
Go on.
I believe that one's pronounced core.
Anyway,
Well, they're contending, aren't they? The
yeah,
Bills?
well,
That- yeah.
they didn't
are
bring
contending.
Sanders back, Emmanuel Sanders.
Oh, okay.
So I think they picked up someone else's replacement because they cut Beasley as well.
Right.
Cole Beasley get cut.
Yes.
Anti-vax may have played something to do with it. Interesting.
So like big money for him. It's 6 years, 104 mil with the 70 guaranteed.
So it's like
but
4-year
It's 4-year extension. I think on top of what he already had. Yeah. So lots of dollars. The 20 mil average, I think, is what all the wide receivers are trying to get.
That's a touch under 20. Quick maths, anyway.
Yes.
Not our strong suit.
The other big news was Frank Gore retiring officially. I think he signed a one-day deal.
One-day
Deal,
deal
sorry,
with the
with 49ers to
Oh,
retire.
yeah. That's
Third
nice.
time all-time rushing, and
Yeah.
he's got his professional boxing career to kick off very shortly.
Smart
as well.
man, cash in on that, that celebrity boxing.
Exactly.
Call out Jake Paul.
Some good memes going around about Frank Gore's retirement of black and white photos of here's Frank from his rookie pro day in 1977. Yeah.
Imagine copying that as a 38-year-old running back, and you look at Tom Brady and you go, "This man been in the league 6 years longer than me." It goes to speak about the life expectancy of a running back in the NFL. For him to be just trucking it up, consistently, an absolute.
Well, I think
superstar is an interesting word because he kind of understated a lot of his career.
Yeah.
And I think his biggest talent was his longevity.
Yeah, exactly.
So,
Yeah.
and definitely
Yeah.
Just that
third time
workhorse.
all-time rushing. Like
He was probably like the 49ers teams under Harbaugh and Colin Kaepernick that made the Super Bowl and were contending. He was a big reason, right?
Yeah,
Their
and the
offense went through him.
Yeah, definitely. And when you, but the question is, when you think about running backs of his generation, he's not the ones you start thinking about straight away. You start thinking about C2K, CJ2K, Peterson,
Yeah.
exactly, and then the guys moving off that.
That's probably how he liked it as well. Kind of.
that-
But
that's
that,
right.
Just put
it wasn't. It wasn't
1,000 yards every year. I'll just keep it rolling.
That's it.
Yeah, he's probably going to run through people rather than run around them, and that kind of flashiness. Yeah, just very rarely have a negative yardage carry. Kind of wasn't he that kind of guy that give it to him and you're going to get positive gains.
Indeed.
Yeah.
Guess how many yards he finished on? 16,000 on the dot.
On the news.
It's nice for any of our OCD listeners or OCD hosts. So Walter Payton sits second on that list with 16,700 odd, and then Emmett Smith out on way ahead, 18,355. Be interesting to see if anyone ever breaks that record.
It's an excellent list to be in that top five. So.
Isn't it? Yeah. Names Barry Sanders, Adrian Peterson, even going down, Curtis Martin, LaDainian Tomlinson. Jerome Bettis is a little bit surprising, 8th on that list. Eric Dickerson holds a single season rushing record.
Bettis another one of those.
Tony Dorsett.
Longevity
The Bar-
guys.
Yeah, and Bus trucked it up.
His average is a bit lower than those other guys.
Indeed.
Volume of carries.
Barry Sanders averaged 5 yards a carry. Man, it would have been nice if he could have played a little bit longer.
Well, yeah, look at his career length compared to the guys in front of him. Like,
He's got
literally
several
11
hundred less carries than the other guys on the list.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Final NFL news, a bit of a sad one.
Very sad, yeah.
Today, Dwayne
Quite the shock.
Haskins, passes away. Was hit by a car or truck. It sounds like
I
they're
heard
doing
garbage,
road work.
like a garbage truck, pretty sizable.
He was training with wide receivers, so whether they were doing road work or something like that, going for runs and got sideswiped by a truck or car of some description, and unfortunately lost his life. Only just turned 24, I think.
Horrible, man. It's something that's probably hit home a little bit as well, doing this podcast and realising, we were talking about Warnie last month and, that everyone's human and everyone has their time, but
Exactly.
it's gone way too soon. And
Time short. Get what you can where you can.
yeah, exactly.
I mean, obviously didn't have the NFL career Probably he was
Didn't get off to
hoping
the
for,
start.
but
Didn't get off to the start, but by
He
all
could've-
accounts, had the talent. We saw him absolutely light it up.
I think
He actually
he
could have won the job against.
well, he had
Trubisky
the
as well, so-
Yeah.
Buckeyes job that kind of forced Burrow to go to LSU.
Yeah.
So
yeah.
that says a lot there, doesn't it? So-
Indeed, and arguably may have been starting for Pittsburgh going into this season. So
It was in that competition for that job,
yeah,
definitely.
just thinking of the family, his teammates. 24, man, it's
It's very young.
too young. So Vale, Dwayne Haskins, gone too soon. Accident. Hug your family, man.
So, other than, I guess we're into the final round. We should finish off with the UFC, some F1, and a bit of golf.
Yeah, big final round. So let's kick it off. Ding ding. UFC 273. Let's go. Do you want to go from the top down or the
Yeah,
The other way.
if you want to.
Down to top.
down top?
I don't
Bottom
know
up?
if we need to talk about the prelims too much, but I think you've picked out two there for a good reason. But
Yeah.
we're going to the middleweights.
Yeah, the only things I noticed from the prelims, I really like the fight between Anthony Hernandez and Josh Fremd, a 3-round battle. And Ian Gary, the big Irishman, he's 9-0 in his MMA career. If the UFC can go off the Irish response to Conor McGregor, I think
Tapping in that market once
Yeah,
again.
I think
Yeah.
he'll be pushing for a ranking pretty shortly. Also, a good 3-round fight. They were the highlights for me out of the prelims.
Yeah, the other prelim was the heavyweight fight, which we thought was going to be the
Rosenstrike
fifth fight.
and
no,
Tybura?
so Rosenstrike's one was cancelled because
Do we know why?
his opponent had an injury and pulled out real late. Or
Marcin Tybura.
maybe it was COVID related. No, it was the old fellas because and I can't say his name.
Shocked me.
Shocked me.
Which one?
It was his 60th fight, so he won it by submission. If I can find the prelims, it was maybe it was even earlier.
Is
than
it-
that. This one?
This one, Alex Olniak versus Jared Vendera.
Yeah.
Vandera.
Sorry, yeah.
60th win for Oleg in this, and this was a fight we were talking about because Kevin Gastelum had the two cancelled because he had to fight Duplessis. And I think Dupe pulled out, and then they put in this heavyweight fight. Then they bumped this out, and then they put in that that lightweight fight there as the fifth one to round out the pay per view. So
Okay.
yeah, but it was interesting. Another submission for him with his classic. It wasn't an Andy Connor choke, but it was his choke, and he's
Called
well
a
known for
scarf hold.
it. The scarf hold.
hold.
Yeah, there you go.
Never heard of that.
Yeah, so
He's
60 wins.
He's 44, turning 45.
Wow.
I think that was. I thought I'd bring it up. Anyway. Main
Main
card?
card.
Main card, yeah, let's get into it. So kicked off with the Dane, Mark Madsen, defeating Vince Pichel. Olympic wrestler, 3 times to the Olympics, silver medalist, and you could tell he was a wrestler. Very hard in his ground game and takedown defense. This one went the distance, but he was unanimous winner there.
Did he show much stand up, or is
Nah.
he very clearly?
It was very clearly
He's got a strong suit.
Very
He's gonna
clearly
play to it.
very clearly wanted to go to the ground, but also outstruck Vince in this one. Vince is 39, has a lot of UFC fights under his belt. I think the best thing he had going for him was that mo. It was a very, very strong mustache. It'd be interesting
On
to
a
see where his
scale
career.
of 1 to monks, where's it?
Monk's
it tops-
Caterpillar
it
is
tops
probably about
me.
3 out of 10, and Vince would be a
3.
strong 9.5.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, like it was a marked difference.
Delicious.
Yeah,
Yeah.
It's old timey boxer style kind of
stick 'em up,
mustache.
stick 'em up. Those kind of vibes, you know. Maybe a Peaky Blinders, if you will. Bit of Peaky. If you put a hat on him, he could have been an Arthur, whatever their surname is, Shelby. Peaky Blinders reference. Women's strawweight, Mackenzie Dern beats Tisha Torres, the tiny tornado. Imagine getting your ass kicked by a 5'1" lady, because I'm sure she could do it to all members of this panel, but it wasn't meant to be in this one. I think Mackenzie Dern was 5th ranked in the strawweight. Tisha was 7th. It was really quite close in terms of the lead up. Hard one to punt on.
Yeah, I think Dern in this fight probably pushed the pace and controlled more of the fight to get the win. I don't think either of them really did like big damage to the other in this. But yeah, Dern was the better of the two from what I saw.
Interesting when we were previewing this fight and we were looking at Tisha Torres and she's got a lot of losses, and then we were looking at the chicks that she's lost to. Namahunas,
all the big
Shang
names.
Wei Li, Joanna Jedrzej back in the day.
The cream of the crop.
Yeah, exactly. The losses have come to elite talent. So maybe this Mackenzie Dern might be showing a little bit. 5th ranking. Can she move up the rankings after beating someone below her? Possibly, but you probably wouldn't, be shooting up those rankings anytime soon.
I think the main thing for her in this fight was, one, she made weight really well because she had struggled with that in the past, and she looked like lean and really strong, which she hadn't in her previous fights.
Yeah.
She definitely, she had the kid a year ago, I think, or a year and a half ago. So to get back into the shape and kind of commit yourself to it, it's all to her. So
she
definitely
gets a crack at someone else in the top 5 now.
Yeah.
You can't go backwards from
Well,
that.
I know they just booked Zhang and Joanne again, so that'll be
So whoever's left in the top 5.
Carla Esperiza or Marina Rodriguez, perhaps. There's another Chinese lady there, Yan Xiaomin. That could be the upcoming fights for Mackenzie Dern.
Yeah.
Into the welterweight, Khamzat Chimaev getting the win over Gilbert Burns. A lot of people had Khamzat here to get the victory before the 3 rounds was up. It was the 11th ranked Khamzat in taking on Burns was 2. Yeah.
Yep.
So obviously Khamzat just shooting up the rankings.
Definitely fast track.
He's fast tracked. A lot of people see him as perhaps someone that might be able to take on Kamaru Usman.
Great size for
going forward, but this wasn't a walkover for him by any means.
No, he definitely showed he belonged. Like you can see that, and he also showed that Gil Burns is, a killer in this division. Number 2, he took all the shots, gave plenty back.
Yeah.
They definitely rocked each other back and forth. This was a great fight. So, I think he potentially could have judged it either way, but with same thing with Hazmat, kind of controlling the pace, pushing it. Burns very much late, trying to just throw big haymakers, the big overhands to try and knock his opponent down. A couple of those did land, but I think Hazmat did more than enough to show that he had the class there and the competitive resolve there. Won the technical part of the fight more than the Burns did.
I think the biggest thing for him was went deep into the match as well and was still competitive, striking and just keeping the pressure on the whole game. Interestingly enough, it's probably just timing of it, but the rankings haven't been updated yet, so he's still sitting 11th.
Yeah, they won't.
But
That happens in a day or 2.
Yeah. He will go probably 2-2, and if he's not 2, he'll be right up there.
So does he get a crack straight away at Usman, or does he have to go through Colby?
Well, I think
So
because Edwards is.
I was listening to Pat McAfee. Shout out to another podcast out there.
Equal level.
I think
pretty much the same.
He was at WrestleMania during the week, so shout out to him.
Got stone colded.
pretty sure it was this fight. He was talking to Dana White, and I think they said it's going to be Covington.
Again?
Yeah. No, sorry. Kazmat will go up against Covington.
Oh, Kazmat.
Okay.
That makes sense because then Usman probably gets Edwards, and then the winner of the Hazmat and Covington fight will then get the winner of the title.
The other one, like a semis into a final.
Yes.
Kind of idea.
I think that was the rumor.
Yeah. That makes sense.
And we like spreading rumours on the internet.
As I said, strong assertive statements.
Bantamweight?
Yeah, the big upset of the card in Aljamain Sterling getting the win over a heavier fancied Puerto Jan.
Yeah, from what I saw, Jan probably fought this angry, and I definitely saw a lot of people saying this online that he came out. He definitely looked more dangerous on the feet than Sterling did, but then Sterling out wrestled him, especially the second and third round, and played a better game plan in the first. And they were the rounds he won, and Jan got the last 2, and only one judge gave the first to Jan. So a really, really close fight across the board. and Jan actually kind of took the wrestling in the last two rounds as well to get himself back in this fight. So yeah, after where he was after the third round to get back and win the championship rounds, just shows that he definitely belongs up there. And they'll probably run this back at some point. Sounds like TJ Pillishaw from Sterling and his call out.
That was the literal words that he used, wasn't it?
Yes. And TJ takes everything.
Well, he did. Yeah, he got caught for blood doping, which isn't actually pills, but yeah.
Yes, no.
But it doesn't
we
rhyme.
understand.
No, that's right. TJ blood doping ashore doesn't have the same ring to it.
Doesn't roll off the tongue.
No, that's right. TJ EPO ashore, not quite as good.
What was,
sounds like something we'd come up with.
How did Jan get received by the crowd? I remember you guys talking about that last week.
I didn't have the volume on, so I didn't hear it.
It wasn't
Not
too bad.
It wasn't as bad as in England.
No.
The Russians really got booed heavily in England, but still not a warm, receptive welcome for the Russian fighter. Do you think Aljamain, this would obviously it's going to be a massive confidence booster, but it might be a bit of a fuck you as well because after getting the win from Porter being DQ'd,
and a lot of people saying you
milked it, you didn't deserve it, you know, and no way that Aljamain Sterling wanted to become a world champion that in front of no crowd, mind you.
Well, he had the belt, and then Jan had the interim champion's belt, so he had a belt. So he's definitely beaten a champion to win, so he can take a lot of credit from that.
Exactly,
and he fought like a very good technical game plan fight to stick to his level, to stick to what he does best, and take that away from Jan, and really get Jan out of his game plan and what he should have been doing. Instead of just probably going in there a bit angry and a bit too aggressive. So, and he paid for it in those first two, in the round 2 and 3. So.
Yep. Good on you, Aljamain, in a night that was a favourites night, essentially. We're even working through a lot of those prelims. A lot of it went to script. It was good to see a big upset as a neutral fan. And in this one, not a neutral fan. home bias, Aussies rule and
Heavy
skill.
home bias right here.
Alex Volkanovski.
The great.
Alex the Great Volkanovski from down the road from where we are podcasting up in Wollongong, Australia. Windang is where they bill him from. It's an area inside of Wollongong.
Maybe he should be playing for the Dragons. They could win some games.
Yeah, I don't know if a 5'6", 64 kilo man would
prop. He was a prop.
Yeah, he was a prop. He used to play at 104 kilos. I know it's been spoken about heavily on Joe Rogan. Some interesting conversions in that episode between pounds and kilos.
Quick maths.
Yeah, that's right. A lot of quick maths or slow maths did occur on the world's biggest podcast between those two.
Class above.
Pretty hard not to like how Volk went about his business here.
His hand speed was just so much quicker than
his striking was the class above. And the zombie lived up to his nickname. He can take a punch, that is for sure.
He took plenty of punishment. And, they didn't. He finished the fight standing. Standing knockout essentially. It was a good call from Herb to jump in there and save him for this one.
Definitely,
because he was taking a lot of punishment and he's too tough for his own good. That's how he got the name The Zombie. But yeah, I wonder if he came into it maybe a little bit nervous, of course, being his title fight. Probably his last opportunity as well, because I think he's 35 or 36. He's up there in years. And yeah, he just looked so much slower in the first round. Maybe it looked a little bit better in the second, but then when Volk started landing again, it just it was too late by that point. He was just way too much for him. So.
Volker didn't take too much punishment in this one, not like the Ortega fight where he went very close to getting choked out in that fight. Do you think moving forward he'll be looking to fight again? He definitely has to fight again this year. You'd think?
Probably towards the end of the year.
Maybe sort of September, October this year. Who does he get? Will they try and go Max Holloway again?
I think the Holloway,
the trilogy.
The trilogy is
they've already done 3, haven't they?
Yeah,
because we've spoken about this. It'll be the first, and we didn't know what to call it because there hasn't been
what do they call it in movies?
I don't know.
Once they get to 4, they're usually not too good.
Well, Fast and the Furious has been milking it for all it's been worth for quite some time. But I think it.
We might have been talking about for Usman Covington.
Usman and Covington because they've only had 2.
Yeah.
So we don't have to come up with the quadrupleology or whatever word we decide to go with. Hopefully the UFC helps us out with.
Hopefully
with
they'll make someone out.
Usman and Colby.
I'll just call it 4.
Yeah, maybe.
Awesome, foursome.
Awesome, foursome. How old is the zombie? Is he 35? He's ranked 5th as well. Coming up in here, Volk's starting to clean out the division a little bit.
He was ranked 4th, 35. Volk's 33 as well, so not too far
spring
behind.
chicken.
Yeah.
The person I suppose that we forget about in there is Yair Rodriguez as well.
Yeah.
Will he get another chance?
He lost to Holloway. So Holloway's going to be the.
It's got to be the next.
It's either that
the next title
or
fight.
does he step up one division, go to the
Interesting.
Go to the
He
lightweight?
could, as a bloke that used to running around at 100 kilos.
Maybe, but he gives up a lot of height. and
Height.
size
Well, he's already
as well.
short.
That's
He's
a
already
big
short as a
lightweight.
featherweight.
Huge,
He's
yeah.
already short as a featherweight.
I don't know.
Or does he need to just sit on his throne, and say, whoever you want to bring to me?
Yeah. Well, that's his 4th title defense now, is it? Or winning it and then 3 defenses.
Who did he beat originally? Aldo?
Yeah, and then he's beaten Holloway twice, Ortega, Zombie, 4 defenses. I'd just stay there and keep winning.
He won it off Holloway, so he's had the 3 defenses.
3 defenses.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, I'd just stay there and keep winning for a little bit. Make
paid.
someone challenge him. There's no reason why Holloway can't go out and beat him as well, taking off our Aussie glasses.
The Holloway fights have been very close, and obviously the Ortega fight could have also gone against him, kind of thing. So
it was
he's not, kind of.
no ahead of the
He did
elites
show
in
this one
in that
against
division.
Zombie that he's definitely Zombie being a fifth place there, but he's definitely a head above. But he needs that Holloway Ortega kind of competition. So. Yeah.
Well, do you go like Holloway Ortega first?
Make them go against each
Well,
other.
that was Holloway and Rodriguez. So they've
Yeah,
kind of
okay.
already done
And
that.
Holloway smacked him.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Another good competitive fight, but Holloway's there.
Like to see that going forward in Australia, maybe. If we
Fingers
open up.
crossed.
yeah.
A bit more. Be nice.
Has he fought in Australia? Probably not.
They
Nothing
haven't been back yet.
Yeah.
Since COVID.
Because
you've
Whitaker
got
and
Volk there.
Izzy was the last
Trap.
big
That
one, wasn't it?
was Holloway.
I don't think that was here. That was.
That was in Melbourne.
No. Oh, the last one.
Yep.
Their their
2018.
grand final.
Yeah.
So Volk hasn't fought in Australia since he fought Jeremy Kennedy in February 2018 at UFC 221.
Yeah, I'm pretty sure the November 2019 was the last UFC in Australia.
Nice. Yeah.
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 Before that pandemic.
Yeah. So
Right.
UFC.
Well, that's a nice little segue, isn't
Yeah.
it, into a sport
Talking about-
returning to
Yeah.
Australia after a few years of COVID hiatus. Boys, run us through the return to Albert Park of the F1. What were your thoughts on today's race?
Monk's talked about the fans there, so it was a great showing of getting people out to the race. I think the main thing was Leclerc wins. He was pole, wasn't he, from Max? Max was second. I think that's right. But he dominated the race. He's finished 20 seconds ahead of the number 2. So clearly the fastest car, and that Ferrari is still doing excellent. So it's good to see them there. But the main thing, I guess, Max, another engine failure, didn't finish the race. Perez finished second. George Russell getting a podium, finishing third, ahead of Hamilton and fourth. And then I had our boys, the McLarens, with Lando and Ricciardo finishing fifth and sixth.
Yeah, good to see the McLarens.
Yeah, definitely back up in that
consistent
list.
As a pair rather than just one at the top, one sort of at the bottom. So
and then the back half, Ocon, Bottas, Gasly and Albon, a lot of different names in there, which was good to see. Albon pitted on the second last lap for his only tyre change because he's going to make one because he was running in that sixth spot or fifth spot. He was up there for ages because he hadn't pitted, of course. But you need to pit once, and he did it and managed to maintain 10th position to get a point for Williams, which was their first point of the season, I believe. So overall, it was a pretty good race. It was good to see really close racing cars following each other. The DRS zones didn't really add too much for the overtaking. Created a few trains in the race, but there's definitely lots of close racing. Maybe they didn't take a lot of the opportunities just because of where they were in the maintaining positions. Because like where the McLarens, for example, They didn't really challenge each other, and they were kind of on their own. Same with the Ferraris; they were kind of on their own.
Yeah.
Sainz did go off in the second lap. Was the other big one, and then Vettel continued his poor weekend of putting his car into the wall. So they were there with DFF.
I think that probably played into it as well. There was a fair few safety cars, so
there was a lot of safety cars.
that would have stuffed up a lot of strategies for a lot of
3
teams.
safety cars, 1 virtual, I think.
Yep. Yeah.
So 3 races in, and Leclerc's off to a flyer. 71 points in the World Drivers' Championship standings, ahead of George Russell and Carlos Sainz. What's going on?
Who would have thought of that?
No, what's going on with Hamilton and Verstappen sitting in 5th and 6th behind Sergio Perez?
Yeah.
Is it just early, teething stages,
Yeah,
or
so-
have we got a genuine bona fide, 5 or 6 blokes that could take this thing out this
I
year?
think Ferrari
it's gonna
definitely
be
have shown their
close.
improvement. So it is going to be close, and they've shown their step ahead currently, and the others got to catch up to them.
Like
but
Verstappen's-
Mercedes were better this week.
Yep.
McLaren were better again this week. Verstappen has, as Monkey's going to say, the 2 DNFs, which don't help his chances.
I think
And he's
Hamilton's
won outside
had
that.
one as well. Yeah. So I think it's just early in the season. But yeah, Ferrari look very strong. Leclerc looks very strong.
1-2-1.
1-2-1, pretty good start. And Ferrari way out in front in the Constructors' Championship, 104 points ahead of Mercedes, 65, Red Bull in third at 55. It's cool for the casual fan like myself to have a nice open start where you are thinking, maybe there is a fair few of these drivers that could win the thing, as opposed to last year where it seemed to be Verstappen, Hamilton from the get go.
A lot of mixing up early. We'll have to see if anyone can catch Leclerc. That's probably the main thing, and Ferrari. So we'll have to see if in the coming weeks if people can make those changes and get back in there.
Long season.
It is a very long season, and is it at Italy next week?
Yeah, they go
or the
to
week
Emilia
after?
Romagna.
No, so they have a week off.
Week off.
I think just to
travel
travel.
from Australia.
Yeah, and I think that was a lot of the chat as well for this year. Leading up to the race, there was a few drivers coming out saying that was poor scheduling.
Yeah, middle
having
of the
Australia in
season.
the middle of the season, sort of thing.
Historically, it's
Sounds
either
like-
been the start or the end of the season.
Yeah, sounds like a
Yeah.
lot of excuses to me.
Travel all over Europe, and it's just like it was just a longer flight from him.
Yeah.
So.
Yeah. But yeah, it'll be interesting to see. Obviously, going across to Italy, going to see them race. I think it's at Imola.
Yeah, is Imola.
Emilia.
Romagna.
Obviously back at home
I do.
for Ferrari as well.
Miami. There's the next one. Leclerc way out in front. Ferrari looking good. Early days.
Yeah.
Great to see the GP back in Australia.
Oh, yeah. After a few years off. And what were you saying? Biggest crowd since 1999.
1999, yeah.
Nice.
Yeah,
And
good.
we'll wrap it up the podcast with some Masters chat. The biggest tournament in golf, 3 days down. Scotty Scheffler, the world number one. A lot of people didn't really have him in their hopefuls, and he leads by 4 strokes ahead of Cam Smith. The Aussie started on fire. He actually went 4 under in his first round with 2 double bogeys. So it kind of was a story of what could have been double bogeying 1 and 18. And then it was all about Scotty Scheffler on Friday. He took a commanding lead going into Saturday. Tiger, he makes the cut. Unbelievable. There was a lot of kind of speculation as to whether or not he'd even be able to play. He's getting massive galleries for each hole that he plays.
It's his first tournament in 17 months.
Yeah, and
Huge.
yeah, since his massive car accident. You know who's an interesting person to look up? Well, that's interesting in just a second. Look up Ben Hogan, who was a golfer back in the 50s who won bulk majors, and he had a nasty car.
I think we did this. We've
Yeah.
done this in the past.
Yeah.
Have spoken about it?
Yeah.
Oh, when
When he first did
When
it.
we
When he
first
first
did
did
it,
it. There you go. That's how the pod must be a year and a half old. That means because if this
after
must have
70 something,
been,
Yeah, 78 today.
Yeah, but
and-
year and a half.
About a year and a half. There you go. Ben Hogan had a nasty car accident and came back and won majors. Now, completely different kettle of fish. You know, there weren't as many elite golfers back in those days as there are compared to these days. But yeah, an interesting story nonetheless. In a history, in a weird way, kind of repeating itself. Tiger making the cut when a lot of excellent golfers didn't. Bryson. Bryson was very, very ordinary. But guys like Jordan Spieth,
It gives me hope.
Brooks Koepka. Yeah, some massive names missing the cut, whereas Tiger goes through. Interesting that we're speaking about the man that's coming 42nd or something.
And the man coming first, just
just
under the radar.
Under the radar.
I think he was tied 10th or something after day one, but yeah, he's
Right.
Yeah, he's not going to win this one, but awesome to see him back and walking. I think that's actually been his biggest problem is walking around the course. You're not allowed to use a cart. When he played with Charlie a month or whenever it was, 6 weeks ago, was getting around in the cart. Nonetheless, Tiger's not winning this thing tomorrow. Scotty Scheffler.
Attach a seat to his like golfing bag or something. The caddy can like pull him around.
Caddy
or
can
something like that.
piggyback him, mate.
They're very strict with the rules. I think caddy piggyback is probably allowed. But I have to check the
Frowned upon at Augusta,
frowned
isn't
upon,
it?
I'd imagine so. So Scotty Scheffler takes a 3-stroke lead in tomorrow. He's 9 under.
Substantial.
It is substantial, but we've seen blokes blow
Yeah.
bigger leads than that. It is Cam Smith at 6 under. I'm not going to say 2-horse race. You've got to go 5 strokes back till you get to Sung Jae Im and at 4 under, and then Shane Lowry and Charles Schwartzel, who won the Masters way back in 2011, showing a bit of resurgence there, tied for 4th at 2 under. Cam Smith, he needs to play lights out golf tomorrow. Probably needs Scotty to not have his best day. But we were talking about it. He's gone so close before. He's come second in majors before. He's chasing that maiden golf major win, as is Scotty Scheffler.
They'll be paired together, right? They'll be playing partners.
Exactly, and it's going to be at a really annoying time tomorrow morning, but that is okay. I'm definitely will be glued to the phone tomorrow morning to seeing if Cam Smith can do it. And look, and credit to Scotty Scheffler, he's had a rapid ascendancy to being the world number 1 in golf. He's only 25. If he was to get his first major, good on him. But obviously the Aussie and me will be cheering on Cam Smith tomorrow. And that will wrap up our show for this evening or during the week, whenever you listen to the Esky.
Do you want to mention caps?
Oh yes, Delhi Capitals are currently playing our Delhi Capitals.
They're going
going very, very well.
10 and over.
Yeah, and we've got Pat Cummins about to bowl to Dave Warner. You love to see it in the IPL, the Aussies there. Dave Warner, 45 not.
50 from Prithvi Shaw.
And Prithvi Shaw
They got
got
bowled through the gate.
And Parnt's come out trying to do Parnt things. So
Punt gonna punt. Punt gonna punt. So yeah, got a big score on the cards here. DC from there would be devastated with anything less than 200, you'd imagine. So we'll continue to watch that probably and call it for the week that it was, a massive week in sport.
It's all happening.
Continues tomorrow with the Masters, and then we'll be back. Oh, are we doing Easter? We have to. We'll
work out our time.
We'll let you know over the socials if we get an Easter episode in. Thank you for listening. Thank you, Michael, for joining us.
Thanks for having me,
The
mate.
AFL correspondent.
Good to be back.
Yes, I have to make a few more telly visits. A bit of a thing.
Call you in.
To get definitely your thoughts on the AFL cricket and all things sport. Boys, until next time, thank you very much. Thank you, listeners.
Thank you.
We'll see you next time on the Esky.
Yes.
Cheers.
Goodbye.
Bye.
Go Ken Smith.